All right, how is it going, everyone? Welcome to the penultimate episode of Shorts and Jorts. I am
Finally.
BPM. How's it going, everybody?
I'm so excited to literally watch a movie by any other director. I mean, I
Oh,
have. I watched a lot of good movies this year, and none of them involved Kevin Smith.
um, I went into this, which also, by the way, before we go in any further, anyone in chat, if y'all are hearing a little bit of crackling on Christy's end, I am trying to fix that. I don't know. I'm hoping things will even out a little bit as the music goes away, but I picked up on a little bit. Hopefully, it is not coming through. That's coming through on your end. But as always, any issues with sound balancing, any issues with stuff like that, please let me know. I will try and get that fixed ASAP.
I blame Discord, Twitch, Verizon. Anything that's not my fault is my fault. I mean, is the real answer here.
We can definitely
As
blame
I,
Verizon. We can definitely
as I
blame Verizon for sure.
from Mountain Dew, Baja Gem, Mango Gem. Not a sponsor, but could be. Hi,
I've
Tom. It's
heard.
been a minute.
Yeah, it has. Well, I mean, because literally the last one we did was was Clerks 2, and
Clerks
I
2, which
mean,
broke us, honestly.
because it's that was the point where like nostalgia, like that, I would say that Clerks 2 was like the first time when I really started feeling like they were phoning parts of it in, and it's gonna be tough to talk about this just because
I
like
think I think the problem with that was like because like we had like when we started this pod slash Twitch a podcast within a Twitch stream, like there was at least balance. Like we had Clerks, which was great. Then we had Ballrats, which was not. But then we had Chasing Amy, which was in the middle, but at least we had a good talk. And then we had Clerks animated series and Dogma, and things were good. Then we had Jane Silly Bob Strike Back, who wasn't good, but it was a fun jerk off festival, you know. And
yeah.
then, much like Kevin Smith's actual career, things got a little downhill after that. Minus like the
I
Tusk discussion.
it really feels like the more and more you look at it, like Jay and Silent Bob felt like his peak as not even as just like as him as a filmmaker, but as a filmmaker in general. Because for better or for worse, almost every movie that he made after that was either like a favor for a friend or
Right.
something that he very clearly wanted to see himself.
Or Cop Out.
Or Cop Out, which I feel Cop Out feels more like favor for a friend. Like in that case, the friend was his agent. Like
Right. Or a Paycheck, I guess the one for that one. Oh.
yeah, paying the bills. It became really obvious that his passion went from filmmaking to podcasting, which is like fine. People are
Yeah.
allowed to move on in their
Yes.
industry, but people are always going to want to get you back on what you're known for, which he was known for being a filmmaker. And the problem is kind of I feel like it's almost like a jack of all trades, master of none style situation where I really don't like I feel like he is not your traditional filmmaker. He is a very niche kind of filmmaker, and as you try to like blend his style of filmmaking in with more traditional filmmaking as we know, the only times it can really work are when you have a really personal story like Chasing Amy. Dogma worked because it was better than the sum of all of its parts.
Here is my Kevin Smith hot take. It's a shame that Clerks didn't come out a few years later, because if he did Clerks, Mallrats, Dogma, and Silent Bob, and like was like coming off his hotness in the mid 2000s, he would have easily been eaten up by a comic book movie, and his career would have found a second life there. Easily, he
Yeah,
would have been giving either like a BT Morrow movie or like an early MCU movie, and he'd be fine. But we
I
don't live in that reality.
I honestly, this isn't even a fucking joke. I really want like I want to see him do less movies and more smaller TV projects. I would love to see him. If they told me today that he was going to be doing like Booster Gold, like a Booster
Yeah,
Gold TV show, I would be all for it. I would
I'm
be fucking all for that. That is
Yeah.
like his wheelhouse. Let him thrive in there.
I really feel like that dude does need some TV because like even watching the post credit scenes like with the all the show the cut footage, I
Mm-hmm.
think like
Those are
some
great.
of the jokes some of the jokes are good. Some of them definitely deserve to not be in the movie, but I think like there's proof that some of his best stuff is cut out of his films.
You know
I
what?
think he
Oh, sorry,
probably
go ahead.
could use like a TV show or something. Like also like let's be fair. Like outside of Dogma, his best thing was Clerks the animated series, which was a TV show. So
And a
or it's like
collaborative effort.
and Masters of the Universe Revelations that I was very high on. So like Kevin
Yeah,
Smith should be in more
we
TV.
love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, right,
I
yeah,
thought that was a phenomenal show, and I'm like, I
yeah,
want to see him do more stuff like that.
right.
In terms of movies, here's my hot take on this: Clerks 2 should have been delayed by 4 or 5 years,
Yeah,
because
or not happen.
or not it hap like yeah,
Yeah,
I'm even fine with like Clerks 2 had a foundation for a movie that they could have done something with that, but he like raced to have a midlife crisis with Clerks 2. And
yeah.
then all of a sudden realize like, oh shit, no, my actual midlife crisis is happening now.
It's funny because like I mean obviously spoilers, but not to get too far on the movie. But like if you look at all the movies that have like shout outs to representation in this movie, Clerks 2 has like next to nothing.
Yep,
Like Mallrats gets more love, and it's fucking and like Mallrats is easily the weakest of the Jersey trilogy.
easily, easily.
Yeah, there's more, which rightfully so. Like there's nothing like the only like the new character they brought in Mallrats. I mean, in Clerks 2 is recasted as a different. Oh, sorry, it plays a different character in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get into this movie because I've actually written a fair amount on this shit and I watched it. So like here's a little like behind the scenes stuff for this. Reboot came out around the time that we started talking about this podcast to begin with, and
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
did not see it. It was the only movie in the Viewers universe that I did not see in theaters, or like exception being Clerks and Mallrats because I was like fucking 11 when those came out,
Right.
or however old.
We Tom.
So like this was the first when this came out in movies. This was the first one that me and my friend Vinny, who saw all of these movies together, were like, no, I don't think we need to like go out day one and watch this. Mostly because like by that point we were a little burnt out, and
Yeah.
it didn't seem like I wasn't going out of my way at
Right. Also,
over 30
you could
to go see it.
yeah you could also not do that because it was only a part of like a traveling roadshow and like select theater screenings. It never had a wide theatrical release.
Yeah, it hit its life in
Right.
online. And ironically enough, it was like the second most viewed movie that year next to fucking Parasite.
Yeah, it's the highest. It was second highest per screen average of 2019 behind Parasite, which makes sense because this movie is made for like Kevin Smith. It's fucking that is that Penny Arcade joke where like they're making fun of Kevin Smith for making movies only for his fans because he made a movie just for his fans. Like
Yeah, literally.
yeah, this movie is insane if you have not seen everything leading up to that, and obviously the Marvel universe. But like at least like I feel like in most Marvel movies, you can at least get some kind of context that's going on. Not
I
this
went
one.
into Jay and Silent Bob 1 with only like a passing knowledge of Clerks, and
Right.
I was able to keep up with almost everything.
Right.
And with this, I'm like, I would never show this to someone as their first movie,
No,
like in the Viewers
absolutely not.
universe, fucking ever. But it's interesting because like the movie is not only a reboot; it's a reboot, a remake, and a sequel. It's
Yeah.
all three at once.
Which I'm not
And
sure if like that's meta, if that's a joke, if it's if is Kevin Smith on the joke or he made the joke, didn't realize how how true to it was, and he just kind of fucked around with it.
I want to say that it's something like the what's it principle, the Tusk principle, where
Oh.
it was a joke that they talked about on a podcast until he's like, no, fuck it. I think it was an idea first, and then he's like, oh wait, no, fuck. I have some ideas for a story I can write around this. Because like, again, in a weird way, I am not going to be all that cynical about this movie. I didn't like it as I was watching it, and then I started liking it more and more the more I thought about it. And big portion of that has to do with like the more I watched it, the more I kind of came to the realization of like there are two kinds of scenes in this movie. There's the really good stuff that he obviously wrote from the heart and like was like is really meaningful for when he again, much like Chasing Amy, when he gives a fuck about his story, he can actually write some good stuff and make a good scene.
I think
But there's
that's
also
why I'm angry.
yeah.
That's why I'm angry at this movie. You mentioned earlier in our group chat that like it's not a good movie, but it's a series of funny bits, and not every bit works for me. But there's
Yeah.
little bits of like jokes and like scenes, especially the Ben Affleck scene, which we'll talk about later.
Oh yeah.
Um, that like is a generally good scene,
Um
and it
this
and it makes you wonder like. Is Kevin Smith a bad like? Did Kevin Smith take on too much, and that's why it's bad, or is Kevin Smith like a good writer director but a shit actor? So when other people come into his material, like Chris Hemsworth in this movie, is the movie what 3 minutes?
there's almost no cameo in this movie that fails. Almost every cameo.
Mm,
Well,
there are two
okay.
cameos I will say failed. I will get to them. We'll get there.
On a scale, and I'm like this is true of both Strike Back and Reboot. In general, the cameos are pretty good. They
Yes.
definitely don't all hit, but
Yeah.
like on a batting average, it ain't half bad.
No, the Holy Trinity. The problem is the highs are high. Like the Holy Trinity of Molly Shannon, Chris
Yeah.
Hemsworth, and Matt Damon. Like that. I mean, like I don't consider Affleck a cameo because like
It
he's
wasn't.
a
Yeah.
he's a returning character. David more so because of how short it was. You know,
Yeah.
Affleck absolutely not. The low tier is Justin Long and fucking was it Cheech or Chong who show up in this movie?
Tommy Chong.
Yeah, the Tommy Chong was just like, "Hey guys, stoner," and I'm like, "Yes, we know Kevin."
Yeah.
And
Um.
then not placed, but honorable mentions goes to the Stanley bit at the end because like he's not really in the movie, but like the thing he did with Kevin Smith was very cute and very funny. It's a shame
It was
that
a nice little. He was supposed to like a little.
yeah,
He was supposed to have a
it's
much bigger part in the movie. He was
this
basically
is
supposed to be the third act.
this is the whitest thing I'm gonna say on the stream tonight, possibly. And it's Stanley is the Kevin Smith, what David Bowie is the David Lynch
Yeah.
in this movie.
Yeah.
That is, and if you understand that, I'm sorry, but you probably give us $5 a month to make content. Anyway,
You're also probably like you're not cis or straight. Like you're somewhere on the spectrum of bi trans, and by that I mean you're a Twins Peak fan. So yeah. Um, so let's get into this and so like um pretty much like in terms of the Views universe,
yeah.
Clerks 2, super groovy cartoon movie, which is technically the last piece of blood that we have to offer up, and then Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, which is like Clerks 2 I want to say was like 2004 2005.
I will let you know in a minute because I want to say you're 2005, but
Feels like 2005.
Right.
And then
2006.
2006. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
about 14 years in between that movie and this one. So like a fair amount of time. And in that time, he directed a whole ton of movies, made a podcasting empire, was basically a crux of comic book men, and kind of
yeah.
It's kind of interesting. We're gonna see in the course of this that Hollywood, quote unquote, it's really interesting seeing the definition of Hollywood, quote unquote, in Kevin Smith's eyes from 2001 to 2019. And it's also kind of cute in a little way. But so first thing is first, that fucking clown is back. And
Thank
the
God.
only thing worse than that fucking clown being back is that fucking super groovy cartoon movie Jay and Silent Bob
Yeah, good. Okay,
immediately
good.
running
I'm
him
glad.
over.
I'm glad we both noted that because the minute I saw that clown, I was like, I'm very angry. Then I saw Jay and Silent Bob and their bad animation for. Yeah, I hate it because one, I hate of what I see in that movie. Two, there is a better version of those characters animated that they can't use, which kills me because fucking Clerks animated series. Still a high point for this podcast, and
Although
yeah.
little, even though they can't use those, did you pick up on the Clerks the
Yes,
animated series
yes,
reference?
yes, yeah, yes. Little bear, bear pit in Jay's hat.
Uh-huh. In both this movie as well as Clerks 3, Jay has Clerks the animated series characters on his beanie. In Clerks 3, it's Leonardo.
That's so good. That's so good.
So little nods to that, but yeah. So it opens up on the quick stop. Notably absent is Randall, because
Yeah, where is Randall?
Randall isn't there because his actor and Kevin Smith got into a pretty nasty fight, and pretty much were not on speaking terms until right before the movie came out, and by that point he couldn't fit him in. So kind of the reason why Randall will have a bigger part in Clerks 3 is because of that.
Yeah. Almost, yeah, that makes sense. I thought he would have. I thought I missed him during the weird Clerks panel that happened later on, but
he
I guess
is not in there.
I'm surprised he hasn't gotten Star Wars in, but oh, it is what it is. Yeah.
This will also be. I'm gonna put a counter right now of Kevin Smith starts shit with someone.
Right. Okay.
And that's number one. This counter is gonna be going up. So that's the first time Kevin Smith started shit with someone and it ended up impacting this movie. In fact, the entire existence of this movie, before we even get into the plot of it,
let's go.
A major reason why this movie exists in the first place is because Kevin Smith had a major fucking heart attack in 2018, like almost fatal. And he did a complete 180 of his life, went full vegan, started lost a ton of weight, looks
looks more alive.
He's healthier for sure.
Yes.
But I feel like all of that weight, the taint from all that weight, manifested itself in the fucking yellow slip-on sneakers that he he wears all the time. But all seriousness, good on him for fucking getting healthy. That's hard shit.
Yeah.
But
I love that man's film ability, but I do not wish to see him dead.
Yeah. Seriously, this movie, the stars of these movies, it's kind of miraculous that both of them are still alive, considering that around the time of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Jason Mewes was basically living on heroin and alcohol and honestly probably should be dead.
Not to make light of addiction, but it is this weird that both I feel like Smith and Mewes had falling outs with Hollywood, mostly because Mewes had a falling out with Smith, and where their careers went, Smith kind of reinvented himself to be a professional shill / podcast guy, whereas Mewes is heroin, you will let me down.
Yeah. And then literally around the time of, for Mewes, this is Jason Mewes, a decade free of heroin and a decade free of of chronic substance abuse, which is absolutely crazy. These are literally in a way a rebooted Jay and Silent Bob, because their bodies completely rebooted themselves to be actually healthy.
Mostly for better. Yeah.
For better, yeah. But one of the main reasons why Kevin Smith wanted to do this movie in the first place is because he's the last movie, the last Jay and Silent Bob movie that I did with my best friend, we ended up really fucking hating each other to the point where he pushed him out of a moving car. He's like, I don't want that. He's like, if I were to die today, well, two reasons he made this movie. He's like, if I died as a result of my heart attack, the last movie I would have made would have been Yoga Housers, which, yikes.
Oh, God.
And he's like, the last Jay and Bob movie I would have done with my friend would have been Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where we hated each other and were
I mean,
like fighting every
potentially
day.
it would have been Clerks too.
I mean a
Yeah.
titled Jay and Silent Bob movie. We don't count Super Groovy cartoon movie.
Yeah, they should also maybe like. I feel like if Clerks is the title, oh, actually no, like this depending on what the Clerks movie is. If Jane Silent Bob in the title,
Yeah.
if I'm being fair. Anyway,
Um, but
um,
yeah, so like that's beef number two that Smith and
excellent.
Hughes squashed their beef and got, you know, got in super excited about this. And like, no matter how jaded I can be about certain things, seeing them play off each other is always going to be entertaining. They like
Yeah,
those two fucking know. They're like an old married couple. They fucking know each other inside and out and can play off each other absolutely beautifully, which is going to be a problem because as this movie progresses, Silent Bob might as well not exist.
well, that's the whole thing too. Like, um, Jason Mewes under Kevin Smith is like a fucking shotgun. It's just trying to hit bottles with a shotgun.
Yeah,
Because like when it hits, that bottle's gone. When it misses, it whiffs, and that's Jay this entire movie.
yeah.
Jay's character actually has like growth again and does shit, which is great. But when like then he just like says some dumb shit that doesn't like work at any level.
The non sequiturs could have definitely used a little bit of punch up. They feel a little rushed. They feel very first draft. You know, I've talked about editing a lot on various streams here, and like the best piece of advice I ever got in my entire life was never fall in love with your first draft. Show them to multiple people, get multiple inputs, take advice to heart. Like never write something and then immediately put it to like final levels of production. This is a script that feels very first draft pass.
I think here's my thing with again go back to this shot analog. When Jay sounds like Jay, the character works. When
Mm-hmm.
the character sounds like Kevin Smith talking through Jay, less so much because we have Kevin Smith and then another actual Kevin Smith like 5 feet away from him.
Yeah, which happens multiple times in this movie.
Yeah, which we'll get into that later. So anyway,
Um,
also the cruelest joke that makes me laugh every time I see it is when we start to have the quick stop. The cock, what was it? Cocksmoker is his name. The sandwich
Cock
shop.
smokers chicken sandwiches with the red
Yes,
box right next
and
to
then
it.
the red box replacing the fucking
RSD videos.
the RS video is the cruelest joke,
Yep.
but I cannot stop laughing every time because I feel like that was just like that was also kind of a fuck you to his Randall. It's just like that's how bad you were at your job. You were replaced by a DVD kiosk, and that is that's like it's how history went, but also kind of fucking funny.
Yeah. Um God. So the movie begins with Dante showing up to work, delivering that good old line that he's not even
Yeah.
supposed to be here today, as
Right.
he gets the shit kicked out of him, almost giving up Randall's location, which I think that's their way of trying to like push off Graves and being
Right.
like Randall's in hiding because he definitely said or did something stupid online. And he gets whisked away by Ashy Larry and Polka Dot Man. The first
Polka Dot Man,
two
holy shit.
celebrity cameos in the movie.
Um. Also, man, Kevin Smith bad at writing black people.
Always is.
Yeah,
Craig
minus like
Robinson
Chris
kind of
Rock.
works, but I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like the lines that work are when he like lets Donald Rollins and Craig Robinson kind of like write for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
Also, Chris
there are
Rock
definitely
going
lines
on.
that work,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel like he wrote them.
No. 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 So yeah, the Leonardo SWAT team is here to um it was a drug bust, right? That was the original.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Obviously, and who better to be responsible for a drug bust, but local drug dealer slash drug enthusiasts, Jay and Silent Bob, operating out of the chicken, the cocksmokers or sandwich place.
Which like still keeping all those gay jokes in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man knows what he's good at, and he shouldn't.
Yeah. Good at, and it's not that.
Um,
Yeah.
so
That like
Jay immediately runs out of the burning building after they fire a grenade in, holding two giant things of weed, and for no reason whatsoever, drops his pants and tucks his dick between his legs, as Goodbye
right.
Horses plays, because they did it in Clerks too, so they have to do it again.
That was yeah, like like I can imagine like being at a Kevin Smith fan fest or whatever the fuck like traveling roadshow and seeing that and like the audience popping, seeing that on my TV at home. Mm-hmm.
I can hear the room full of stoned like
Yeah.
25-year-olds in the theater going, ah, ha, 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 pubes, ha,
Mm,
ha, ha.
more like 37-year-olds.
Yeah, let's be real.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of when I saw Clerks 2. Like,
Yeah, the 25-year-olds are now calling him a cuck on Twitter for He-Man.
yeah, God. So they get arrested, and we have the first oddest fucking cameo, and not good cameo at that,
Yeah.
as Justin Long playing the lawyer from Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
That ooh, yeah, Brandon St. Randy, which
Yeah.
good name, playing a playing Jane Silent Bob's lawyer who immediately is just like, hey, to sign this, Jane Silent Bob have no idea who he is, obviously because like that was supposed to be in View Askew continuity, but Jay being Jay signs the paper and the trial begins with okay, listen. I love Craig Nelson. Oh, Robinson, sorry, and Craig Robinson, as judge, jury, and executioner.
Mm-hmm.
Where was Judge Reinhold?
Where were the joke? Where were like there were so many jokes from the
Right.
animated series they could have
Right.
brought in. They didn't make a plaintiff joke. They didn't make a
Right.
fucking they didn't make. There were so many jokes they could have made.
Right. I was expecting, yeah, like I know we got Bears wearing driving car pin, but like I was expecting that. That being said, Joe Manganiello as the bailiff, chef's kiss,
Oh
chef's
yeah,
kiss. Glad, yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. Again, no shade towards Craig Robinson, who did a fine job, but
Justin Long
just
just
saying,
it felt like he's not a bad actor. He can be funny.
no,
It feels
no,
like, you know what it is? It feels like someone doing a character that like someone else thinks is funny, and they're like,
right,
Tom, do the gay voice, and I'm like, the gay voice really ain't funny, dude. He's
yeah,
like, no, I
yeah,
think it's funny, do the gay voice. So you're
right,
doing it like half-heartedly to a room full of people who you know aren't gonna like it. That was
right,
Justin Long doing this lawyer for the entire movie. I couldn't even like pinpoint the accent.
no,
It was off. It was off. It could. I honestly just wish they kind of just had Justin Long being Justin Long, like,
or like like original character, please do not steal,
yeah. But in that case, the movie, they find out in like, the immediate like, okay, you're dismissed, you're not being arrested, which at that point, weed was weed legalized in Jersey at that point?
No, not at all. No, that was very recent, like in the last 2 years type of thing.
Okay, so close,
Yeah.
close.
Oh
So
no,
like,
they were very much guilty of a crime. They're
okay,
also Jane Silent Bob, so like
yeah, multiple
yeah,
crimes,
yes.
but so they immediately get sued by Saban Films,
The
who
Power Rangers people, which thank you for making that connection, Kevin Smith.
I so do you know that this movie was actually produced by Saban Films?
I knew that. I had to stop the movie and Google that and look at Wikipedia. It is distributed by Saban Films,
Yeah,
which I wonder if that was like that joke was made prior or after like the filming. Oh, sorry. Like they knew Saban was gonna do it afterwards, or
they knew
yeah,
Saban
had it right.
was gonna be doing
Yeah,
it
right.
at that point,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
like, I mean, I hate to say it, how many people would have happily financed and distributed this movie? Like, they,
right.
by this point, Jay and Silent Bob were not the sure slam dunk like commodities that they were
They
years
were
ago.
in 2000 and never.
But I did like the Power Rangers discussion. I did like the
Yeah.
theme song. I thought that was a very nice callback.
Yeah.
Um, I like the line, "Oh shit, we're the defendants."
Yeah. Yeah. Which again, Jason Mewes is best when he's like the best line we'll get to later, but like Jason Mewes random. I'm not sure if it's like he wrote that or Kevin Smith wrote it, but J at peak J is the best J.
It feels like his really off the cuff exclamatory non sequiturs are like
Right.
where he shines.
Yes.
Um, so then we cut to Mallrats with, of course, a musical cue of Squirt Gun, "Social" by Squirt Gun, which is the opening theme to the mall, with spray painted "Don't open, dead inside,"
Right. Don't
which
dead
is a
open inside.
very that just fills me with confidence for Mallrat, Twilight of the Mallrats, or whatever the next fucking thing he does. So, Christy,
Well,
let me tell you about
that's
some things. Let me
it's
tell you
never
about some
happening, by the
things.
way.
Oh, thank God. Let me
Yeah,
tell you
Disney
about a
told that.
couple of things that have risen significantly in the past 20 years. Rent,
Okay.
significantly raised. The price of
Yes.
food, significantly raised.
Yes.
Jason Lee's fucking hairline, woo! That thing is sky fucking high.
Oh, listen. Jason Lee had a bout with Scientology. He escaped it, went to We Bear Bears and Kevin Smith movies. Yeah, that's fair. You know what? I was gonna say don't be mean, but then like Scientology,
I don't want to.
Pearl.
I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be mean, but I know I have done enough
Yeah,
filmmaking. There are a couple of significantly bald people at my job who I have had to work in film and light, and I know that they had to have a discussion to see
I love.
how can we get the lights to not reflect off Jason Lee's gigantic flying hairline.
I love LeBron Brody Bruce.
I Brody
Uh,
is still just a fucking treasure, a treasure to
yeah.
hear every time.
Yeah. So
Uh,
here we got. Like, do we need to go into the details, or can I just do talking points for Brody?
we
Because
can. So it's very similar. Like the
it's
story to
it's
this,
it's literally fucking Strikes Back.
they want to do a Blunt Man and Chronic reboot, which is why Saban sued them in the first place to basically get copyrights to their names and likenesses, so they can't call themselves Jay and Silent Bob anymore, which impacts them in the movie in no way whatsoever.
Right.
They go, well, we got to stop this reboot from being made, and there's a we'll get to this, but they find out that there's being a scene shot, and that if they stop the scene being made, the entire movie will stop. So they're like, okay, we're heading to Hollywood again to do this. Um,
At
and in the midst of all
Chronicon.
this, we get a fucking squeak wool reference.
Yeah, this is Kevin Smith talking to the character Brody. The only difference is Jason Lee is a better actor than fucking Jason Mewes. So when he says Kevin Smith stuff, there's a hint of sarcasm and like talent involved. Again, nothing toward Jason Mewes, but I'm not wrong.
Yep.
Like when they're talking about what was it all these sequels and reboots, and they're like, yeah, and those Marvel movies, and Jason Lee's like, you shut your mouth, I live for those Marvel movies.
Brody would be a
Yeah.
die-hard Forum Marvel movie defender. He would. I'm shocked there wasn't a scene in the movie where he fucking fist fought Martin Scorsese. Like,
I don't. I think. Yeah. No. I think that was a little too late for that to be the movie. No, but it was good seeing Brody Bruce back. I also like to see like Brody. Yeah, Brody and friggin' who the hell has Ben Affleck play this fucking movie again?
Shannon.
Yeah, are like the only two characters generally who are not
In this movie, Holden McNeil.
who are generally happy to see Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, everyone else is like, no, fuck these guys.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it was just good to see like someone come in and just like, oh hey, it's Jay Silent Bob. Welcome to my comic shop. I also love the idea of like this is like me going to comic shop type of thing. Someone was browsing back issues wearing like a suit jacket and a T-shirt because that
yeah,
is very much a comic shop thing you see. Again, it's a good look, but like specifically like a men's blazer and then a Superman T-shirt. It's like, you know, the iconic. This is my business wear when I go to the comic shop to do my comics business. I say
Um,
it after dropping like $20 in comics today.
uh, we find out that Kevin Smith exists in the View Askew universe. The ramifications with are mind-boggling to say the least, but I love that every time they bring him up, it's immediately with the cop-out reference.
Yes, and it's also not Kevin Smith playing Kevin Smith.
So I think there was actually someone in that scene who was actually cosplaying.
Yeah, yeah, he's noted as hold on, I'm not sure if he was like Kevin Smith cosplayer.
Kevin Smith cosplayer, yeah.
Was that as he's listed on fucking Amazon as oh, Travis Hayward is I think, yeah.
Yeah,
Travis
but
Hayward is
that's
the
not like a
actor, yeah.
pseudonym. That's an actual
No.
person who was cosplaying Kevin Smith.
Yeah, but he plays Kevin Smith in this movie. I also love that like Kevin Smith's more self-aware enough to know how much of a shill he sounds like on TV
No.
or not.
So that wasn't him playing Kevin Smith. There was literally in Brody's comic shop a Kevin Smith cosplayer.
Oh, I'm thinking of
yeah.
Never mind that.
Kevin Smith is Kevin Smith is Kevin Smith, and in like either a photo or somewhere in the comic shop, there's a Kevin Smith cosplayer. In Kevin Smith plays both himself and Silent Bob in the movie, and the part that kills me is Omaze. Oh, so how much do you know about Omaze as a company?
Nothing whatsoever.
Okay, so they actually they're a charity company theoretically.
Okay.
I think that they are a hardcore scam. That
okay.
a lot of noted YouTube personalities signed up to basically like, you know, you donate money to a cause and you know, you donate money to Binging with Babish to help in like that hurricane that hit Texas and Puerto Rico. You get entered into a contest to take a pasta making tour of Italy with Andrew Ray binging with Babish. And they set up, at least in his channel, something like 4 or 5 of these contests. And they did it for a bunch of other people as well. Literally, like the one we saw in the movie, which was donate to become an extra in the in the Blunt Man and Chronic reboot. But the problem is, they set all their contests to end in February 2020.
Oh no.
And almost all of them were centered around travel, airfare, hotel for a cross-country prize. So literally none of their contest winners have won anything because COVID hit, and literally so you go back and you watch like Binging with Babish episodes from 2019, and he's like, this will be me and you going on a tour of Germany with their beer halls, and all the comments are like, well, guess that didn't fucking happen.
That is extremely cruel, but hilarious because I'm a petty person.
So when I saw that Omaze was, you know, in universe doing the Kevin Smith charity ad to be in the Blunt Man and Chronic reboot, I said, oh god, like it dated the fuck out of that.
Oh, that's too funny.
So next begins one of my favorite reoccurring jokes that felt shoehorned in at first until about the 4th or 5th time they did it, where it made me laugh my goddamn ass off, which is Jay confusing Kevin Smith with Kevin James, which
absolutely
know,
so good,
you know, like that is too specific, and I'm like, I know for a fact the only reason why that happened is someone in like some Hollywood executive said something like, get me Kevin Smith or Kevin James, and they got Kevin Smith instead, or vice versa. Like it reeks of him going to like a Hollywood premiere for like something, and someone going, "Oh, are you the guy from King of Queens?" Like, yeah, that's too specific for like to not
Oh,
use that multiple
I
times.
see. I'm thinking like it had to be one of his friends doing it on purpose, like either Damon or fucking like Chris Rock also was in what, Grown Ups with Paul Blart
James,
Mall
yeah.
Cop. Yeah, so like I feel like that's the also like where's Paul Blart Mallrats Cop or some shit, I don't know. Does that do anything for y'all? Does it anyway?
I feel
Um,
like that has to be a Hollywood, like someone in Hollywood, like mix the two of them up. That has to be it.
yeah.
Um,
But either way, like that fucking like yeah, it took me 2 times before I got into it because like he just kept it. He kept on saying it with way too much like vigor and like disgust for fucking for Kevin James.
for the
Like yes,
zookeeper himself.
yeah, yes for Mole Shrek himself, which I
Um,
love.
and on that note, we cue the music. I still have no idea what the fuck music that's
No,
supposed to
that
be.
yeah. I thought I knew. I didn't. That felt a little like that's my problem with this movie. There's too many just like. If you guys are fans of Kevin Smith, you'll get this references, and it's just like, oh, but like I didn't need these to come back.
Yeah, like they don't even like it's not even like done properly. It's
Right, right.
the
It's like
first bit in
remember,
the yeah, the Brody making random music felt authentic because like that felt like everyone's time was perfect. But this one, it's like I can't even like put it into words. It's like instead of just being like doing the joke and doing it right, it feels like when someone else is trying to do a joke and they make it just a little zanier or goofier.
right.
Like, oh, but for the tongue cramping out my mouth, babe.
Okay, cool. I have no idea what you just did.
Oh,
It's also very. It's also like, it's a what a sequel to a joke made 18 years ago.
yeah, that didn't
Yeah,
make that much sense then, but it was funny because
yeah,
you were high as shit.
right. 'Cause it's like, oh, it's Jane Silly Bob doing a silly thing with Brody Man.
Well, but his tongue is out
Meganooch.
more now.
Yeah, yeah. No, on the bright side, though, hard cut to the airport with Molly Shannon time.
Molly Shan, which answers like one of the big questions I had with Jane Silent Bob Strike Back, like why the fuck didn't they just fly, uh,
Right.
fly it there? Although I do miss the original line from that of, "Damn, they wasn't the bus free when we were kids? What the fuck is bus fare?"
Yeah, that was super good.
Um,
Yeah, so they try to simply buy ticket to Hollywood, which
with
not a,
literal fuck you money.
right.
Um,
Until they've been put on a no-fly list,
did they ever
which
say
makes sense.
why?
Yeah, because yeah, they did, because which is like, actually a good joke. They're like, you're not on the fly list, and Molly Cat's character, I think it's Joyce, replies, yeah, Jolene, sorry, Jolene replies, because you were the member of a cult named Clit,
Right.
and Jay screams out, I already told you, we all know the Clit doesn't exist, which
Which also gets played for the tell that
it's
to my last
it's
exes.
yeah, yes, that's my last act. Yeah, you sound like my last few axes, which is just like that's rapid fire jokes that work.
Yep.
Right,
It made me miss Carrie Fisher making sex puns, but not as much.
right. Also, as Nate note and chat just reference, it's also his nod to his running with Southwest Airlines, which
I
I
must
think
have
you can
missed
find
that.
that's a whole thing on Twitter. Let me see if I pull up real quick. Yeah, that was Kevin. Oh, there's only one named Kevin Smith. What was it? That was Southwest.
Um, so instead, while Christy's looking that up, instead they decide to ride share to California.
All right. So, quick side note: he was booted off a plane in 2010 because he was deemed a safety risk because he was too heavy to fly.
Shouldn't laugh, but uh, damn. So yeah. She says, "Why don't you take the Ride Me app?"
Right.
Which is
Right. Get it.
sex Uber.
Right. Get it. Get it. Right. Like dick. Like hot dickings. Do you get it? It's a dick joke.
And
sex.
speaking of getting fucked, they decide to ride share to California, which you should never do under any circumstances.
I mean, I don't think you can. Like, I don't think any Lyft or Uber driver is gonna drive you to California. I think like the most realistic thing is they would have to take a train.
Yeah, or they'd
Yeah.
have to they'd have to like you'd have to take a series of Ubers there, basically like every 2 hours swap out.
And like, yes, I realize we're being nitpicky about a movie in which Kevin Smith movies are popular, but that's the biggest,
Well,
suspension of
like
disbelief.
so like the reason why I'm being nitpicky about it is because when we get to like the end of everything, and I'm going to
Yeah.
talk about ways that this movie could have been improved.
Yeah.
Why the fuck does it have to be in Hollywood? They could have very easily centered. They could have very easily set this in Chicago, and eliminated, or like just outside of Chicago, and eliminated 90% of the problems, and made it like
Also,
it's reasonable to ride share to Chicago. You're gonna pay fucking thousands, but you could theoretically do that.
Right. It's also like, again, I love Fred Armstead, butcher's his last name. Him in this movie did not work for me
Not as well.
as
I
Todd
love
Merkowski.
I love Fred Armstead. I think he can be a powerful actor and comedian. But one, it just felt too weirdly coincidental that like his character is, he ends up creating a brand of tater tots that gets picked up by white nationalists.
Hater tots.
And become hater tots.
Which hater tots, like that joke is like 10 years too old, but I like him creating a product that got called by white nationals, calling them hater tots. That was a little too on the nose,
There are a couple of lines Fred Armisen delivers that I really like. Like later on, he will say, "Hater tots filled with hate," and that made me laugh a little harder than it should have.
Yeah.
But
also like the idea of him having a fucking air fryer in his car, which I don't think is, again,
very not legal.
Yeah. Right, and the car is gonna magically drive them to California too.
And there's someone made a doo-doo in the back of the car that they just hold. Like there are better ways to do that joke and make it land, and they just were not done. They also make in the weirdest way to call out this react structure. They show that Silent Bob only has 3 of the most powerful joints they've ever made.
Right.
And a little boner pot smoking guy, a cock smoker too. Also, like, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Jay sober in like Clerks too? Like, don't they make kind of like a
because they get out of rehab. They get out of rehab and they literally dropped out of the rehab bed in Clerks too.
Yeah,
they found
so they make a point of them selling it but not smoking it, and they are that plot point is completely out the window. They are back to smoking.
Right, you're saying, but it's Jay and Silent Bob, and this is their movie, right? But also, again, we were discussing they made Kevin Smith can make a 19-year-old reference to fucking Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. He could deal with the fact that he made one of his characters, both his characters, straight edge.
I like it could have been something it could have been a line as fucking simple as,
yeah,
I have to do it now because of my fucking glaucoma.
Right, yeah.
That would have been a really funny joke that a stoner went to rehab, kicked his habit, but now has to go back to smoking pot for an actual medicinal reason because, hey, age. I think that would have been really funny, and that, like, there are a couple of really missed opportunities, and that feels like a major missed opportunity from there. There is a very funny line, though, on when they're at the airport, where she says that they can't let them on the plane because they have a weight problem, WAIT, and Jay says, No, Silent Bob here lost a ton of weight. I used to call him Lunchbox. Now he's a snack pack. That made me laugh. That also made me laugh a little harder.
I used to scream, "Fly, fat ass, fly." Now I scream something like that too.
Fly, low fat ass, fly.
Yeah, he should. So it's the rules of 3, not the rules of 2.
Yeah,
he should have
kept it a snack pack. Kept it a snack pack. That's all. That's all it needed.
Yeah. Right. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes Kevin Smith's too much love into his old shit. I mean, that's also his career. But like right there.
They
So
could
they
have
tried to,
they could have
yeah.
added a third one, like you said,
Right.
rules of
Yeah.
three,
Rules of three. Yeah. Number
not
two.
rules of two.
Yeah.
So yeah, we find out that these tots are white nationalists, love them.
Yeah.
They hounded this guy down. Um, they get out for the random cut
Yeah.
at that point while they're driving to Chicago, and Matt Damon as Loki. One of the better cameos in this movie.
Yeah.
Comes in to basically one, make fun of Hiddleston,
Right.
and two, probably make my favorite pun. He basically tied up the loose end of what happened to him in Dogma, where
Right.
God brought him back from the dead, but erased his memory and dropped him in the middle of the sea at Italy, where he got picked up by a fishing boat and became an assassin, which I have never seen any of the Bourne Identity movies, but apparently
Yeah.
in the very first Bourne Identity movie,
Yeah.
Jason Bourne is picked up by an Italian fishing boat. So he points out that that's the story of my reborn identity. Got him, pun game on point. And that line delivery is so fucking good. It's so fucking good.
It is, because like had Kevin Smith let that out to the audience, it would have been a cute little nod to the movie. But him saying, like him being in on the joke and then making the pun and breaking the fourth wall a bit, chef's kiss.
More stuff
That's
like that.
joke.
More stuff like that.
That's
beautiful. That is on point as this movie gets.
Right. Right. It's very much David huffing his own farts, but like it's a good fart and a good funny joke. So yeah, rule.
It made me laugh.
Rule. Top 3 parts of this movie.
So they, while on their way to Hollywood, they get to Chicago. They stop at, I think the same movies that they stopped at in Reboot.
Yeah.
Where...
no, you mean Strikes Back. We're watching Reboot.
Strikes Back.
I know they all kind of blend together.
There's also, by the way, we glossed over it. There's like a fucking 10-minute long discussion between the difference between a reboot and a remake, and
right, which is also the Brody, like it's Brody being Kevin Smith for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Which there are some things that are very, very right, and then there are also some things that they're also very right, but Kevin Smith is super guilty of doing.
You could tell he just got real fucking angry about Ghostbusters and wanted to shoehorn that in some capacity.
God, so to this day, I know 2016 was a rough year for everybody, but like, imagine that being the hill you died on for like anything.
It was the most... Ghostbusters 2016 was the most mid fucking movie of all time. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad, it wasn't... The director of it did much fucking funnier things.
Right.
But it was a mid fucking movie, and it became like a fucking cultural battleground.
Right.
For the most mid movie of all, if we want to talk about a movie that's lower than the sum of its parts, the actresses in that movie were all fucking solid as fuck, and none of them, like, I think Ghostbusters is a movie that's the elements in it are like what makes it. The movie itself is like it's good. It ain't the script ain't fucking like soul shattering, but it works because
it's definitely studio notes the movie.
Yeah, it works because Aykroyd pre-vodka and or pre making his own vodka.
Oh, we're talking first Ghostbusters, yes.
Yeah, I mean even the first Ghostbusters, it worked.
First is very good, yes.
Yeah, but it worked because Ramis worked and Murray worked and
right.
The second one, like, they picked a fine cavalcade of actresses for it, but they just didn't. The script could have been a little fucking tighter.
Well, again, the script is very much just like a studio note here. Make sure make sure the fans get this. Make sure the fans get this. But also, once again, Chris Hemsworth, funny as fuck.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that and this. Anyway, so going back to
movies in Chicago. They make a reference to Smith's veganism now.
Right. This is also like this whole thing is weird because you have Mary, the knife friend, the knife happy movies employee.
Yeah.
Then you
Um,
have Kevin Smith's wife playing the manager who dicks down Silent Bob in a bathroom.
which is odd because she's one of the few people in this movie not playing her character from Strikes Back. Because she
Right,
was one of the diamond thieves.
right,
And
right.
instead, she just dicks down Silent Bob, and yeah, that
Which
happens.
right. Also, like what I don't get is so there's this running gag in the movie where Silent Bob now uses his cell phone to show emojis and whatnot, and it
Yeah.
takes him like 5 minutes to show the emoji. And his emojis are all like grandma has trouble reading the screen, so she has the big font settings on.
Yep.
And like that, like it's like that's the opposite of the fucking Kevin James stuff. Kevin James stuff, gets funnier every time it happens. Silent Bob big emoji. That's like that's a that's the baby talk joke.
It's stupid. Like,
Yeah,
and like, again, like, instead of him tapping away and showing a heart, what he just did that. Like, all he had to do was just like that, the hand motion,
yeah,
and that was all that was needed. He was
yeah.
a master at Smith was a master in Strikes Back, and Mallrats at showing emotion and telling what he was feeling without saying anything by just hand
Right.
mimicry, and a whole lot of that got nerfed.
Also, like if okay, so first it's weird because like Silent Bob's not actually someone who can't talk. So like that's a weird thing going in like 2022. If your thing is you don't speak and you're at a fast food joint, and especially if you have a fucking phone, why don't you just write down your order and show it to the fucking the fucking cashier?
Yeah, either that or
Like
just
it's like
point
yeah
at the
yeah
menu and go that.
yeah like the number
Um,
four or some shit. I don't
the
know. I don't
the
know. It's
joke the
it's
joke
weird.
is that he tries to type that he wants vegan food. He types an
Right,
eggplant, and they're like, "Oh,
right,
he wants to show me his old man dick."
right. Yeah, no. Shout out to was it Kate Micucci
Yep.
is Mary. Yeah, she her as a knife wielding cashier um worked for me. Here's what I don't get. So why Silent Bob is getting his silent knob licked or whatever?
Could have said
JC's his
not
ex.
silent knob slop like
Oh,
so easily.
yeah, that's on me. I'm too busy being angry about that scene. His ex girlfriend Justice is now a news anchor.
Alongside like
Yeah,
fucking Grant Hicks.
yeah. Here's what I don't get. Okay, she's also a criminal on a federal scale, right?
Yeah,
Like that's okay. Like and like
she
that's not even
did.
something.
She
Yeah,
still did a lot, like
she did
at
a bit
least a
of
decade in prison
yeah, a bit of the terrorism.
for terrorism and diamond
Yeah,
heisting. Yeah.
yeah, right. Like she blew shit up, and like yeah, that all happens, and then she gets a cushy weather girl gig. I mm, like again, like also like
Very odd.
there it's like out of left field. Like if she got a job, as like it's something that would her sketch skill would allow her to fucking translate that out of prison. Like fine, whatever. But
I,
like that was weird. It was weird. Also, just like it was like, oh yeah, she's here now. She makes horny jokes because she's the hot weather girl.
um again, it could have been something as looking at like how could we have thinking from like a writer's perspective, how could I have set the scene up better? Ditch the weather girl segment completely. Have her be how about this? Jay and Bob lose their car because like what the scene's trying to convey is they lose their ride. They need to find another ride and get Justice in the picture. How
Right,
about his car gets towed. They
right,
find their stuff plus a couple of other components. There's a pawn shop across the street, and
right,
she's the like diamond evaluator for the pawn
right,
shop. That
right. Or hell,
simple.
if you yeah, or if you really want her in the fucking like the movies, you do against just have her order a fucking shake or whatever at movies. It's that hard.
Yeah, that's how they got him in the first place.
Yeah.
But
Right, 'cause
they
how do
did
they
that to
find out
just
where
have
she lives?
another. Yeah, yeah. That was
Yeah, like that was weird.
that was a lot of weird.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Like again, first draft. That feels so first draft, and then
right.
like I'll find a better way, and they were just like, no, we just need a scene in movies, and
Right.
there were just so many better ways they could have done it. But now, Jay Caesar has another sex fantasy of them on a green screen boning while he's fucking the floor.
I
Everyone
do like
feels
him.
uncomfortable, including
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I do like him getting fake pegged while touching fucking not Randall's face. That didn't work for me. Just was like, okay.
Oh yeah, they just randomly put
It's
fucking
like what?
it was the Hicks brother that was in Dogma.
Yeah, right. Either way, weird callback. Appreciate that. They somehow arrive at Justice's house, uh, and then are immediately assaulted by teenagers in hockey masks. Oh, in sticks.
After doing another boo boo kitty fuck joke, which
Right. Yeah.
they felt tried so hard to get that to work again, it just didn't feel right. It
I
turns
see.
out that like
That I didn't mind because like it's wild. Like I have personal experience where like referencing an old joke to somebody, even if they're your ex, still lands because of the bond you have you two.
yeah,
And
that's
like
true.
that was that. Like I was like that like I'll take that over fucking weird guitar noises that Jay and Silent Bob make it with Brody.
It worked better for me when they did the ladies, Jay and Silent Bob are into his house.
His owls hurt, yeah, hurt me on a spiritual level.
Um
Either way, they get dropped by teenagers,
mhm.
who
And then
are yeah,
Justice lets Justice basically. So the reason why Jay lost contact with her is because they wouldn't allow conjugal visits at her jail, which
right,
sucks as a partner and is really weird because, again, conflicting with
right,
other shit that we saw. Jay was in love with her enough in Clerks 2 to like literally like be wearing a Justice Forever shirt, like.
right. Like
And
he also could have said, "Oh, he can't fly, so getting out
yeah,
there was hard," or they don't allow visitors. Period. There's a
yeah,
lot of stuff. Like Kevin Smith could have went on Google for 5 minutes or talked to like some Hollywood military contact or something. Other than no, they couldn't fuck, so Jada wouldn't visit, which is kind of shitty.
yeah, absolutely shitty. Like this is supposed to be like the person he cares about, and like
Right.
that's such a mid reason for losing contact. But turns out that he has a daughter, and that's
Yeah.
her. And
Yeah.
um,
It's her daughter. God.
I would still break my dick off in Shannon Elizabeth. Like I just gotta
I'm really
throw that
glad
out.
you said Sharon Elizabeth because I was talking about size Harley Quinn Smith, and I thought you were gonna say that. I was
Oh
like, "Oh,
no,
Tom,
no,
I
oh
gotta
no,
go."
no,
You
Shan,
hear thunder, and I would have pulled out my modem and ended this podcast.
no, Shannon Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Completely Shannon
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
Super attractive. But yeah, I'm glad that did not go
Which
the way.
still kind of bad because when we start the our American Pie podcast, like how old was Shannon Elizabeth in American Pie 1? It was not that fucking far off from
Yeah.
that. So Hollywood is terrible. But yeah, MILFs. MILFs, they're good. Bop up up.
Oh, we're not calling the podcast that. Anyway, so yeah, Jay learns that he is the father of one Millennium Millie Falcon. Pause groans.
So I'm gonna tell you what went through my mind when I heard that.
Yeah.
One, that's the dumbest fucking name I've ever heard in my life, and then I
Right.
realized that she was played by actual name Harley Quinn
Harley
Smith,
Quinn Smith. Right.
and then I thought, okay, second dumbest name.
um, what kills me about it's also like it makes no sense because like at what point do Justice and Jay like nerd out about Star Wars?
I I really
Like,
want to think. I really want to think that because Justice isn't like she's not a
right.
fucking nerd. I really want to think she came up with just the two names Millennium Falcon on her own because she thought it like something like, oh well, she was born at the turn of the millennium and a falcon came over the
Right. What's
came over the hospital
what's
when she was born. So like I want it to be a Millennium Falcon, but for a completely different reason than Star Wars.
right? It's wild if you switch it and like her actual name is like Millennium Falcon Smith and her character name is Harley Quinn. That works way more. But that makes more sense for me. Uh, Sorry, Nathan in chat. Harley isn't a dumb name per se. However, naming a child Millennium Falcon is more cruel than naming a child Nathan. Listen, it's a good year for
Nathan.
Nathan. It's a good year for Nathans. I can name at least 3 Nathans I like. The only Harley Quinn Harleen I like is fictional. The only Millennium Falcon I like is also fictional, and it's not in this movie.
God. So
Anyway,
like
or we can go on this more because go ahead.
from here on, like obviously, like okay, they also make a joke of is Silent Bob the father, which is ha 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 because it's Kevin Smith's daughter.
Yeah.
Who ironically enough was also she was she was one of the only other people who played a different character in both Strike Back and Reboot, because in Strike Back she played a baby Silent Bob.
Right. And she wasn't she. Oh, she was also like the cashiers and yoga houses, right?
Oh yeah, no, but in specifically in Strike Back,
Yeah.
she was one of the
Yeah.
few people to be in both movies playing different characters.
Yeah. And see, her I'm willing to give a pass to because, like, you know.
Oh, it's a fucking baby. More of a fun fact. Fun fact than anything.
I'll allow that.
So
Cool.
so I hope you're all geared for this like fatherhood shit, because welcome to the rest of the movie. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot is actually a Jersey Girl reboot.
Hate this. Hate. Oh no, you're right though. Oh no.
It is a reboot of Jay and Silent Bob. It is a sequel to Clerks 2, and it's a remake of Jersey Girl.
God. Which they reference at some point. Oh yeah, they reference every time they mention Kevin Smith. It's either they mention that again with the Ben Affleck scene, which I get that.
Yeah. Jen, it's Jason Briggs. Gets the honor of shitting on Jersey Girl because he was in that.
Yes. Ruined his career.
Like I wrote in my notes here, wow, Justice is dumber than I thought, and then immediately after that, okay, maybe not so dumb, because she literally just points out, like, Jay, you're a fun guy, but you are not father material, which
not wrong.
is the most valid thing that they have said in this movie so far.
Right. Right. So because I just found out she also breaks the news that she is married.
Yeah. To Rosario Dawson's Reggie.
Right, who again, Rosario Dawson was in Clerks 2 as Dante's Dante's now wife.
Yep.
And that's still canon as a Clerks 3, a movie we have not seen yet.
Yeah, so they're not saying anything is kind of weird about that. Also, I like that Jay has the Randall curse of every girl he's ever gone out with has become a lesbian.
Nice callback to Clerks the Animated Series. A very good show.
God for that.
But speaking of things of Jay that are good for a change, Millennium Falcon introduces Jay to their best friend, Sophilla.
Yeah.
And then Jay's immediately like, "Oh, those things are delicious."
Again, there are some one-liners that work so good. I also props that they got the ASL.
Yeah.
Like they obviously like went to someone and was like, "Hey, can you get the ASL in our movie correctly?"
Right.
And I'm glad they actually did that. Like that was a step they definitely did not need to take, but and part of the joke is that the new girl gang is multinational,
diverse.
Yeah.
Right, is a diverse, a young, hip, multinational crew.
Yep, some of the names are unfucking fortunate.
Oh. Yeah, I was like, okay. If this was 1998, I could forgive.
I was saying in 2003, I think that would have been worse.
I was like, 2000 and never, no. Because you have, it's okay. So it's Oh, actually, we have to get the setup first. It's
Yeah. There is
Justice
also a
League.
really great line that we brushed over, which
What's that?
is they only look like meth heads because they're from New Jersey.
Yes. Which, oof, ouch, but fair. Um. Anyway, Justice and Reggie leave for vacation, leaving her ex-boyfriend, their secret love child, again, and Silent Bob alone, and assuming everything's gonna be okay. But actually, Han Solo ship forces Jay to Hollywood with them because they want to go to Chronic Con. God,
Oh yeah,
um,
let's actually talk about that because we haven't mentioned that. In
yeah.
I don't know if that's actually supposed to be a PAX reference or not, but
Oh
they're
no, it's
like,
Comic. It's San Diego Comic Con. That's flat out.
I
It's right.
mean
It's right.
the idea of a convention based around one piece of media initially for the fans of that piece of media that grew to
Oh no,
expand
that's
outside of that felt
so.
very PAX to me.
I have some context on that.
Okay.
So up until Twilight happened, San Diego Comic Con was very much like this is where you go to get mostly comic book news. Like there was some other media out there, but it was like comic book movies would be there, but it was like not most comics. Twilight came to San Diego, and that's when, for lack of a better word, it became a massive like studio slash normie con.
Oh.
So that's what Smith is complaining about, like 12 years after it happens.
So Stephanie Meyer ruined everything again.
Yes, I mean it's also like the money is like maybe like, if you also if you or the nicer read was that if you appeal to a woman they will support you financially. Hence, like why Comic Cons are not just giant nerd it's like cis white dudes festivals anymore.
Yeah,
But like, yeah, that's the
that's fair.
backlash to that. That's the context for that. It wasn't anything particularly clever. Um,
Okay, I thought it might have been
yeah,
a PAX reference, but
no. I
uh,
don't even think Kevin Smith knows what Penny Arcade is.
true, true.
Yeah.
So yeah, they decide to hop another ride share.
Oh,
Um,
we fucked this up. We haven't explained how Jane and Silent Bob are paying for rideshare. They have stolen
right.
Ted Underhill, an arrogant businessman's credit card information because he went outside of his elevator and screamed his fucking credit card information into on a cell phone. And now Jay is posing as Ted Underhill, while Silent Bob is some other vaguely racist Hispanic name.
Um, so quick aside, what significance does the name Underhill mean to you, and specifically Kevin Smith? Because there is something to that.
Nothing comes to mind, and I'm just thinking Undertale.
Um, so
Under
in the movie Fletch witnesses an arrogant club member named Mr. Underhill. In like a scene almost shot for shot for that, basically. Um, let me look it up here real quick. He uses basically in a very similar way. He witnesses a tennis club member named Mr. Underhill shouting at a waiter and uses his tab to treat his lady friend to an expensive lunch. Um,
It's good to make my upset donkey noise for the next
Kevin
3 hours.
Smith was supposed to direct a prequel to Fletch called
Right.
Fletch 1, but he couldn't get them to make Jason Lee be a young Chevy Chase.
Oh, that would have been good though.
It would have been great.
That would have.
So
Yeah.
that whole reference to Underhill is from Fletch.
You know what's funny? Unrelated. Oh yeah, semi-related. There's a new Fletch out now with John Hamm.
I
I
forget if
sort
that
of.
ever like came
No,
out
it's
or
out.
not.
I saw an actual ad for it on the television this past weekend because little piggyback scenes. I was in Chicago for Riot Fest, and both Amanda and I got super sick like the day we left.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time in the hotel room, and we watched a lot of animated stuff on FX, and there was several ads for John Hamm's Fletcher.
Speaking of fuck Chicago, I
Yeah.
think that's a sentiment that they would both agree with. They wanted to get the
Well,
fuck out
yeah.
of Chicago.
Me, this Harley Quinn and Harley Quinn Smith, and then we're doing the Predator and hand thing saying "fuck Chicago." That is a fucking mood. Also, yes, this was intentional. Uh,
So the they got their new ride share out,
yeah,
and they find that Millie, which thank
yeah,
God they started calling her Millie and not fucking
yes,
Millennium Falcon for the rest of the movie.
right, right,
And her friends are very good at obtaining and growing weed.
right.
Jay, in a very, we're gonna see a real confusing back and forth here, where Jay tries to be. Jay can't tell her that he's her father,
Right.
and he's trying to be a good dad. He's
Right.
trying to be a dad.
Right.
But it is just a really thankful. Okay, I'm gonna start off by saying I am really glad the scene I feared for my life was going to happen didn't happen.
Right. Which
I
is
thought for sure, without a fucking doubt, there was going to be a scene of Millie trying to hit on Jay. And I am
oh
so fucking
yeah.
glad. I am
I
so
think
fucking glad. So
I'm
fucking
not
glad that
so
didn't happen.
so I'm not sure if that happened because Kevin Smith knows that's super creepy, or Kevin Smith didn't want to write a movie where his daughter flirts with Jason Mewes. But like,
Yeah,
either way,
I want to
glad that
say
happened. We don't know what
but he was okay with writing dialogue about her blowing the fuck out of Chris Hemsworth.
I feel like that's something
Which fair,
that
but
may have been something she told him, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm doing this for a movie now."
fair, but
Yeah.
um so she gives them edibles, which
Right.
what kind of fucking edible is like that fucking is like 12 times like as whatever. They go out like a fucking light.
Right.
And other fantastic cameo. We get that Wu-Tang.
Okay, so this. Okay, you get to tell the scene, then I won't tell you why the scene sucks. It's fucking
Wu-Tang.
okay. So Method Man, Red Man show up in a vision, in a weed vision to Jane Silent Bob, right?
Yep,
They said that they based their entire life on How High,
that is true.
right?
Which came out like in
What in
2002.
2001? I'm not sure if that was Kevin Smith just being excited to work with Method Man and Redman, or like the biggest "what the fuck you talking about?" Like this movie that like their movie dropped way after the like what was supposed to be the first end of the View Askew universe.
Yeah, in fact, don't they actually call out How High earlier as being like the Black Jay and Silent Bob, meaning that they were influenced by them?
Yeah, there's something like that. Yeah, like like there's something like we live our
This
time.
feels like
Like
some
no,
weird retcon
it's
going
like
on here.
it's them trying to do the Morris Day and the times bit, but with Midman and Rethman, and it makes zero sense.
I have an idea. I have an idea of what they were trying to do. I think they were trying to do like a variation of the rule of three where you stone cold drop the final one, like on purpose. So it's something
Right,
like, oh, I invented that. Oh, I invented that. And then the person who actually makes it comes out, oh no, he invented that. Like a reversal of like, but again, because they didn't make that second one, it kind of felt like a weird, inconsistent writing rather than a bit. I
right.
think they were trying to go for that as a bit as
I don't know.
they
It
copied us
really
for
is.
How High. They copied us for How High. We based our entire lives around How High.
Yeah, it really felt like they're like, oh shit, we got Method Man and Red Man here. Let's make some how high jokes. Okay, how's that fit into the greater fucking like they could have said it's their favorite movie and that would have worked. Like that's again, it's Kevin Smith overwriting. He could have
Yeah.
said, "Oh yeah, our favorite movie, How High," and then like the line, "They're like the Black Jay and Silent Bob," would have worked because it's like, oh, that's a little sketch and racist, but also Jay's a little sketch and racist, so it works for the character, you know?
Either that, or
Yeah.
if you wanna pay respect to the Wu Tang, all you gotta
Right,
do
yeah,
is say we based our entire lives around the chambers. Like that's all you had to
right.
do. Like
Yeah, like because like
that could have
don't even
worked.
say it. Yeah, because like I get because like like gonna put on take off the comics Chris hat, put on the greater Wu-Tang Clan lore hat, which has a little bit of comic Chris hat on there, and it's just like, well, yes, because technically Method Man and Redman lore are separate from Wu-Tang, even though Method Man's in both. It's the whole thing. Anyway, so they wake up with another classic Kevin Smith the gay joke, passed out in the middle of the street. Now, this bit actually really funny.
There
Um,
is a great line from
yeah,
from Method though of anybody with cum can be a dad, and I think that is
yes,
a fantastic that is a
yes,
fantastic line.
yes. Uh,
Um, there's also a great line:
yeah.
"Deaf people know how to grow weed?" Question mark.
Yes. The hard bit is they wake up, they're like, "Where are we?" We're right outside of New Orleans, and without missing a beat, Jay screams, "We're in fucking Connecticut,"
That line sent me. That sent
which
me.
kills me. That is just like, wait, it's just like that's the stupidest response in that. It's again Jason Mewes speaking as Jay, not as Kevin Smith speaking to Jason Mewes as Jay. Fucking killed me. I was like, more of that, please, because that fucking line rules ass.
Yep.
Um, that fucking
So
set me.
so unfortunately, we meet the other members of the girl gang.
Right.
A girl from the Middle East called Jihad.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yikes.
Right. Yikes. Yeah. Which I. Yeah. Like Kevin Smith is just God. It's one of those things where Kevin Smith, it's what was it? You can't make a cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
It's Kevin Smith trying to do that, and it fails
Well, you
perfectly.
see, it's important because her character, is essential to the element. It is essential to the heart and soul of the girl. Just kidding. She does fucking nothing. She could have been
Right. She's
written
that.
out of the entire movie, and
Right.
no
Right.
one would have given a shit.
It's fucking Kevin Smith complains about having a diverse character. Studios is trying to make movies with diverse characters, and then he goes does the same fucking thing and makes it slightly racist and sexist at the same time.
Yeah. It just it's not.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. She has one scene in the movie, and I'm gonna call it the most tonal whiplash fucking
Right.
part of the movie.
And
Um.
then there's Shan Yu, who's a Blunt Man and Chronic super fan, also a member of this girl gang, which that's going to come into play later. And I'm already angry about that whole end sequence, and we
Yep.
haven't gotten there yet.
Yep.
Already mad.
Um.
We'll get to that in a bit because I've takes for days.
So they get a new van
Right.
by
Oh,
by Chris Hansening a pedophile and
which
having Jay
okay,
beat the shit out of him.
right. To
Um,
be fair, their plan was to do it themselves, which that scene, I don't know, that scene worked for me. Like
yeah,
them planning to like like vigilante taking out fucking pedophiles. Kind of like I'm here for a girl gang to take out a vigilante pedophile. That shit is clutch. I also like the fact that they tell you that she's definitely Jay's daughter because she has giant Looney Tune blueprint plans.
yeah.
And
I
like
like that. I like that
if you want
touch.
to do yeah, but that's call back some more rat. That's how you do that. That's how you do that. So they beat the shit out of a pedophile played by I don't care.
I tried to look up who played him, and I could not
His
find
name
anything.
he's it's weird because like he's wearing a superhero costume. Is immediately get his shit kicked out of him by Jay, and then he's never referenced again. In the end credits, you tell you the actor who plays him, and then like his whole thing, he's a pedophile but also a superhero for Jesus. Which
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck that's even on about. That is.
So they get back on the road to Hollywood. Um,
Or like Holly weird.
Holly weird,
Yeah.
and they talk about wanting to blow Thor, which valid. Um, and then in the most like tonal whiplash of the movie, you start talking about all their daddy slash family issues, which this is gonna come into my greater narrative of what doesn't work for the movie. And I'm gonna call it the I don't think Kevin Smith has actually met an orphan or a person who has had a bad relationship with their parents.
Yeah. Listen to Kevin Smith.
Because yeah, he basically long story short is that every girl in the girl gang has had a bad relationship with either not knowing distance from their father or like in Jihad's case, god damn it, I hate that name.
Yeah. Oh.
Did they're like, oh my brothers and family turned their back on me when, like, was it implied, like, SA, I think.
Yeah, it
It
was.
was
Yeah, that whole
it was not
that
good. It was it
that.
was like,
Yeah, it's straight white dudes writing about women trauma, and not a good look. No, that yeah.
yeah. And then just like somber music. I'm in a girl gang because I never knew my dad. And it's
Right. Yeah.
like they make a point to show that she is like gifted, intelligent, creative, and like
Well off because her.
really well off
Yeah.
because her mom is both a international jewel thief and
Yeah.
a on a celebrity. Like,
Right.
it's a whole lot of telling without showing, which is like, you can't do that.
Right.
That's like rule number one of what not to do. Um, but there is a rule number one of what to do, and that's put Chris Jericho in a KKK outfit.
Oh, okay. Good. 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 Yeah. Okay.
Listen,
I
they knew what they were doing. They did it.
I was
They
hope-
did it. They did it purposely to save on money. They
Yes.
didn't have to buy him it. He already had it in his closet.
Right. God damn it! I was really I was hoping we could allude to that because I had Judas on queued up on my phone just so you get the beginning going. Yeah. So Jane, much like the Scooby Doo gang in fucking Jane Silent Bob Strikes Back, Jane Silent Bob are ditched by the girl gang. When fucking what the fuck was his name?
Fred
God,
Armisen.
Merkin comes somehow tracks them down, wanting revenge
Yeah.
for Meek. Yeah, which I don't like. Ow. Anyway, tracks them down. Um, they go find them, and they are now abducted by the Chris Jericho Appreciation Society.
Oh, the jokes write themselves. For those who don't follow wrestling,
Yeah.
Chris Jericho is a famous wrestler whose
Yeah.
wife was definitely at the January 6th insurrection.
The cover story was his wife, Chris Jericho, also noted no Republican. So, like, if you weren't clear about this now, he donated a lot of money to Trump. Had one of his shitty sons on his podcast. Yeah. So Jericho's wife claims she was in D.C. on the January 6th. She just wasn't on the uprising. Which make of that as you will. She was definitely there. So.
Talented
They have,
wrestler.
yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
played to his strengths.
Yeah,
here.
one of the best wrestlers, one of the greatest wrestlers of my lifetime. Also a massive piece of shit. It do be like that when it comes to the wrestles. For some reason, the clan has kidnapped our diverse girl squad, and they're gonna sacrifice them. That's what the clan does. Yeah. So it's up to Jane Silent Bob to fight the Ku Klux Klan, which okay, this could rule, right? Because nothing is better than seeing racist gets owned. We look at we love that video in which fucking Richard fucking Spencer gets punched in his dumb baby face by some unmasked hero. It's a this would make for good cinema. It's like 3 minutes long. Nothing of value into it happens other than they acknowledge that they eat hater tots, and then they use weed as a distraction, and then spray them with poop and run away.
So
Yeah.
it's so, like, you would imagine that as two people who, like, this would be a perfect opportunity to, like, pull out one of Silent Bob's many little toys that he's like been using in every fucking movie, and instead, what does he use to stop the Nazis, stop the Klan?
Yeah.
He quotes Gregory Glenn Ross, which, yeah, okay, good movie. That's a real fucking weird place to drop some cinema knowledge. That entire speech that he gives is basically Alec Baldwin's speech from Gregory Glenn Ross.
It's also super fucking weird because, like, Jericho does the "Can you dig it" scene from the Warriors.
Yeah.
Which just like, wouldn't he hate that considering, a black man spoke that line? Like,
Yeah, it's like I think they were trying to make a weird parallel, like, oh, let's have the Nazi members speak in Ebonics, but it
no, I
didn't
don't think Kevin.
land.
Yeah, I don't think Kevin Smith's that clever. I'll be honest.
It didn't land. It felt very
Yeah,
airplane
yeah,
era, and not in a good way. Um,
yeah. And it's like,
so just
it's
like
like
I fucking
it's
get
so.
it. It's a
I
classic
don't get it.
movie. It's a classic movie. Like, his entire speech is like it's a good speech, but it doesn't work in this situation.
Right,
Hell,
right. It's a
quote
good speech in
Jaws.
that movie, not in fucking yeah. Again, like what's that scene? It's like, oh man, I really want Chris Jericho in this movie. Let's make him a Klansman for some reason, or I really want a Klansman. Who can I get? Ah, yes, Chris Jericho. Also like that movie is that whole like scene is super fucking inconsequential. Other than like Jay is a good dad for saving his daughter from the Klansman, which I anyway.
You don't need to be a good
Uh,
dad to save people from the Klan.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's
right, yeah, yeah,
incidental. Um, like, even if you're gonna quote cinema, you've
right.
quoted Indiana Jones before. You've
Right,
quoted
right. It's right there. It's also
it's
weird. Yeah,
pulling Indiana Jones out there. Indiana Jones beat
right,
the shit
right.
out of the Nazis. Helps Silent
You
Bob
fucking
fucking get a
Kevin
fedora and a
Smith.
fucking whip.
Yeah,
Like,
Kevin
what?
Smith has made a career of writing other directors' dicks. What's wrong with a little Spielberg Lucas fucking reference in the best way
Such
possible?
even a Star Wars. Put your obligatory Star Wars reference there.
Right.
It could work. Why would you go with Gregory fucking Glenn Ross?
Right.
Again, not a bad movie, but that's like, you might as well be quoting Mad Men. Like, it
Right.
it just doesn't. There's a better place for it.
Right.
So like, the entire shtick is that, like, okay, yeah, Jay saves them, which is again good, but one of the biggest problems throughout this entire fucking movie, and this is gonna, when we're done with the summary, I'm gonna get more and more into this, but Jay doesn't really do anything like
Oh, see,
unique to make him a good person in any other eyes. Like,
hmm. I don't know. Like, I think you know what it is. It's a retrend of fucking it's a retrend of Strikes Back, where it's just like Dre, Dre, God, is like slowly becoming a better person, but like it's like only because people are saying you're becoming a better person. You know,
yeah,
it's
it
again, it's worse.
it could be, it could have been done
Yeah,
so much better.
right.
So
I also
they
like the fact he just drops the knowledge that he knows that he was brought back from the dead by God who looks like Alanis Morissette.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they make like a one thing of like
yeah,
talking about like all their experiences and whatnot, and
yeah,
it's a good joke because you reminded stuff like, oh, what would you? Oh, we hung out on a mall one day, and then the next day we stopped angels from undoing the universe.
yeah. Well, that's later on. I think
Oh,
they
okay,
dropped the Alanis Morissette thing earlier. God
right.
herself. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so they escape the clan and arrive at Chronic Rom. Jay and Silent Bob, they ruin the shoot. The girls want to be in the want to be extras in this crucial scene to fulfill Shan Young's dream. They agree to part ways. Jay hugs Millie and lets
Which,
her know he's proud. Just as they meet the giant hologram Chris Helmsworth, which I love.
before we get into a scene that's definitely worth it,
Yeah.
um,
Oh, God damn it.
the entire point of the movie, like the entire, like the reason why they have to attend this convention is because if they stop that one shot from being made, they stop the movie from being made. They're literally like, we have to become extras in the scene to stop this shot from happening.
Right.
Because if they can't make the shot, they can't make the movie. And when they get there, they're like, okay, to get onto the scene of the shot, it's this way. We're gonna go an opposite way. That just felt very like, it felt very weird. Like, it wasn't the entire point of you guys going there to make it as extras onto
Oh,
that scene.
so I
Felt
think that
very
well,
off.
I think so. Here's the problem with that whole plan. I agree with you, but I see what Smith was doing. His idea was like, if they take out the celebrities, there's no way they can shoot the film, and therefore
Mm.
they ruin the shoot. But up until that point, there is no mention of a plan other than go to Hollywood.
Well, no, they specifically mention because like O'May's Kevin Smith is like, without this shot, there is no
Oh,
movie.
no. I mean the plan itself. Like their plan to
Oh,
stop the
yes.
movie. Yeah, there's no mention of that plan. Like until like they mentioned they're going to stop the movie. Yes, or like the entire time. There's no the plan though. The plan is like we're going to have celebrities. We'll go on this separate line, which makes like you said that's like wait, but what's the plan though? You're going to go to take out like it seems like a worse version of the plan because those celebrities are going to be well guarded, which they kind of are. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
And
Again, it feels like they wrote that scene so that they could have a separation scene with a "I'm proud of you." But what they really should have done in that scene instead is have someone recognize Jay and Bob.
right.
Because one, don't forget this entire time, the entire hey, we can't use our names
Right.
has never been brought up one time. So it would have
Right.
been really funny to have someone recognize them and go, hey, you're Jay and Silent Bob, and then have someone from the movie studio go,
Right.
no, they're not. Get them.
Right.
They have our
Yeah.
copyraid names, and have that be what splits the group up. That's how the scene should have been written, and they didn't.
Right. There's again, it's Kevin Smith overwriting. There's a million ways they could do this right, and Kevin Smith fails to do it at any given time. So, they go to the celebrity area.
But very important, Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth shows up as a very expensive hologram.
Very clearly did not want to leave whatever city he was in to do this.
Yes.
So they shot.
Yeah.
I can tell because I've literally had experience with this for my job, where I have looked up recording times and studios to have the CEO of my company go and record in green screen footage so I can superimpose it onto other stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
so he very clearly booked a studio 10 minutes away from him, shot this sequence, and sent it to
Smith could afford fucking Hemsworth. Keep in mind, like, Hemsworth isn't Damon or Affleck where there's a debt owed. Hemsworth came up on his own with that Marvel money. And this is, like, early career Hemsworth. This is 2019. We're at this time now between fucking Endgame, Infinity War and Endgame. So peak money. So that if Hemsworth fell down his iPhone bathroom camera, that's what Smith's getting, and he'll like it.
Yeah, and what does he use Chris Hemsworth to do? To have the holograph say, "I'm a holograph. Please don't try and suck my penis. You will burn your mouth open."
Yeah, it'll burn your hands, which is incredible. Because again, Kevin Smith, much like Matt Damon before him, doesn't matter what Kevin Smith puts in his mouth, phrasing, it's gonna sound great coming out, phrasing, because Hemsworth's comedic chops are that good.
Yeah, and people forget about that. People forget how funny that motherfucker can be. Speaking of Jay and Silent Bob coming out, someone sells a BNC LGBTQ shirt, and it's the worst thing ever.
That's the whole thing I don't get, because like, so Adam Brody, another Smith semi-regular, plays a Hot Topic employee at the exclusive Hot Topic booth at Comic-Con, who tries selling the Jay Silent Bob Pride shirt, which I'm not saying Hot Topic's not above that, but they are, though, because that shirt is available via Kevin Smith's. I don't know the last time Hot Topic has actually carried any Kevin Smith merch, ever.
If that one rant about Kevin Smith being a lesbian because he loves the pussy was a T-shirt, it would be that T-shirt.
Yeah, right. I also like. Listen. I've hung out on a lot of weird gay corners of the internet. And I've seen a lot of fictional characters bone each other. I've never seen anyone be like, yo, you know what really fucking wets my whistle? Jay Plow and Silent Bob, and or vice versa.
Never seen it. Never.
And you're like, does Rule 34 exist? Yes, absolutely. Have I personally seen it? No.
I'm sure it exists.
Online.
But they are very clearly hetero life mates. Like,
right, yeah. Either way, it was a very, like, again, Kevin Smith's good at some things. Queer friendly humor is not it.
Yep. He is at his best when he lets people more intelligent on the issues talk about it. And it is very clearly he did not consult with any gay person about that.
Nope. Not in the least.
And he probably patted himself on the back and was like, I'm doing good.
Yeah, I did. This is better than Chasing Amy. Hooray. God.
So they go to trying to get to the celebrity area where we get one of my favorite cameos back.
Yes.
Diedrich Bader playing the Oh What a Lovely Tea Party
Party.
security guard.
Right. We also get the weirdest fucking like Kevin Smith is old cameo.
Yeah.
Who the fuck was it? Oh, I have the name. 1 second. Because again, we have the highs of this the highs of this movie were the cameos, fucking Affleck, Damon, Molly Shannon, and here we have the bad one, which is fucking hold on, I'm trying to find his name.
While Christy's looking that up in another example of the rule of twos, they make a random ass reference to "Don't tell mom the babysitter's dead."
That's the guy. Yeah, that's the other thing I was talking. The actor from that movie.
And it's
Which,
like
who is gonna get that joke?
Yeah, it's like it's him. It's the star from "Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead," which
Not even. I would say like the movie was the fucking girl from God, what's her fucking name? From Anchorman and then Married with Children.
Kathy.
No, the daughter.
Oh,
Not Peg.
Christina Applegate.
Yeah, Christina is in that shit. Like that's the big name from that.
Yeah, that's
not,
a bigger name. I love. She's a fucking phenomenal actress. Why would he? Probably out of his price range. I hate to say it.
Oh yeah, like because she wouldn't do, like I get it because like it's the Comic-Con joke where like you go to Comic-Con, you're not gonna get Norman Reedus and Andrew Lincoln from The Walking Dead. You're gonna get like Carl at best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't even find this dude's name. On the cameo list. But he shows up and they're like really, it's a whole scene is very awkward. Either way, they sneak past Balder, and then they go into a panel where it's nerds complaining about this reboot to Jason Biggs and James Vanderbeek.
The pie fucker and Dawson.
Yeah. Piefucker hates the reboot. Dawson loves the idea, and then immediately Biggs turns on Dawson, saying that he's only doing it because he's hoping to get a cameo.
Yeah, and Biggs immediately brings up "fuck Kevin Smith." He had me in Jersey Girl. That ruined my career.
Which is great.
This is also a reminder that when we are finally finished with the Viewers Universe, we will be transitioning this podcast over to a American Pie based podcast for at least a little while, which I am hyper fucking excited
so
for.
Excited. Every time I mention I'm doing new shorts and shorts, Amanda's like, yeah, but what American Pie when? soon, babe, soon.
Yeah,
it's coming.
So the way we have this actually all structured out, probably come December will be our inaugural.
Oh no, earlier than that. We'll talk about that off. We can't announce it yet.
Yeah.
There's nothing big in November where that would make more sense for her, but we can't announce that yet.
That would.
Yeah.
Okay. So
they're chased out of that panel by security, and then they're chased into the Clerks 25th anniversary panel with Brian. It's fucking
Walt Flanagan #2, Brian O'Halloran.
Marilyn, Ernie, Scott, and John, and then Walt Flanagan, Brian Johnson, Ming Chang, and Mike Zaplik during the Comic Book Man panel. Then a bunch of random Smith goons as country goers, and then an empty panel with a comic book guy. Hey kids, it's Ben Affleck.
Actually, hold on. Let me. I have the list pulled up here. I actually wonder if
Also, they did put out. Chandler Riggs is the
if Randall is in it. So it is Brian O'Halloran, Marilyn Giolotti, Walt Flanagan 2.
Right.
Scott Shifio, Ernie O'Donnell, and Johnny Wilyoung. So yeah, no Randall.
Yeah, no Randall. It's okay. He'll be back for Clerks 3.
Yep. So yeah, they after going through there, they duck into another panel room and get Ben Affleck doing one of my favorite line deliveries. Look at these morose motherfuckers right here. Looks like someone's shitting their cereal. Bong.
Right. This is the best scene in the movie,
Yeah,
hands
hands down.
down. Because yeah, turns out noted Academy Award winning director Ben Affleck good at movies.
Good at movies, and this is also so like this entire sequence right here. We're going back to the Kevin Smith beef counter.
Hooray!
Smith and Affleck had a pretty big falling out since Jersey Girl, since
Rightfully so.
Clerks 2, really. Because surprise, surprise, Smith kept running his fucking mouth about things he really shouldn't have been talking about.
Right.
They reconciled just in time to make this film, and Smith wrote this scene, and he filmed it like at the Omega Hour. And he's like, "This is the best thing I've ever filmed in my life," and I'm actually inclined to agree. One thing we kind of haven't really talked about a whole lot is a lot of the scenes in this film feel really rushed, and even in terms of like, filmography setup, are just off. They feel very close set. They feel very. There's a lot of weird close-ups, and there's never really any shots that I feel like give space and environment, and it's a problem for filmmaking, especially for like with Clerks and Strikes Back and Mallrats. You can tell where everything in a scene is supposed to be because it's kind of pulled a little more back to show two people talking. But instead, this movie is like 85% close-ups of Jay and Millie, and it like you can go in the scene and count the number of sequences that have someone standing in full frame. There are next to none of them. It's so bizarre, but this sequence is well lit, well choreographed, well shot, well timed, well paced, well toned. It is the highlight of the movie by far, and it is them talking to Holden McNeil, who since has made it big with Chasing Amy, his comic about him and Alyssa's relationship. And
Right.
we get some nice little bit of Chasing Amy lore where we find out that him and Alyssa stayed in contact, and he was the sperm provider for basically the surrogate father for Alyssa and her wife's daughter, Amy.
Right.
Played by Jason Mewes' daughter, who is adorable.
This is what I like about this whole scene. One, first off, it's Kevin Smith doing continuity right.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ending of fucking Chasing Amy was a goddamn mess.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of this is the opposite of The Force Awakens, where it uses it has a chance to it doesn't fix it. It fixes something, doesn't break something. Where it gives that movie, which those characters acted odd, weird towards the end of that movie. This is a more mature and like, I mean mature in the sense of like it's like adults acting like adults mature. Mature, nuanced, and good ending, which is rare in like these in fucking like Oscar sniffing award movies. So I really like that.
It's closure.
Kind of,
It's
right,
closure to the
right,
best degree that we could have hoped for.
right, yeah. And it's just like, and like, it's Joy Lauren Adams. It's the first time she's come back in a Kevin Smith movie since she's gonna be right, or
Yeah.
like a maybe brief cameo.
She had a cameo in Strikes Back.
Right, yeah, fucking yeah. Again, it's also just like it's one of those like those things which make sense for like Holden's character as an indie comic book character, because Chasing Amy obviously did well, and then like it has it got him indie cred for that. Then he sold the rights to Blunt Man and Chronic. No matter what, it still made him a ton of money.
Yeah.
And then Netflix going, I like Netflix sniffing and wanting to adapt
I would watch the fuck out of a Chasing Amy Netflix series
as a series, because that seems true, but also works given like how Netflix is going or in the last couple of years with a lot like Sandman and Umbrella Academy. It just makes sense, and it's a good good use of like in universe stuff and like actual like pop culture history stuff. So and also like Affleck just like fucking crushing the dialogue.
It felt like a natural evolution for all the characters.
Yeah.
It's closure. It's
Yeah.
It is a it's honestly like, so one whole thing about Chasing Amy was that it was supposed to be for it is not a movie, although it is definitely like, for you have to take it in its time. It is a movie for aimed at straight men to understand LGBT issues that they may not otherwise have really thought about, as well as LGBT issues. It's like it's a meet point for the two.
Right.
So it's kind of fair to say that a lot of people kind of like a lot of straight men who have no gay friends would have learned something about the LGBT community coming out of Chasing Amy. I think that's a fair statement to say.
Yeah.
And looking at this, I had never really thought about a family relationship where a person can, like, co-parents who aren't in a relationship themselves. That's kind of a really nice family unit that I had never considered in my life.
It's so good because Kevin Smith has at this point has been so very 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 bad. So
Yeah.
like it's just like, oh shit, it's that he makes other jokes. It's that '90s Kevin Smith, the Kevin Smith that people like because it was fresh and new, not just like fart jokes and half-ass adaptation Kevin Smith.
I could tell this entire script for this part was written from the heart. And as a result, it's not only funny, but this is what Jersey Girl should have been. I had mentioned before that this movie is a remake of Jersey Girl. This is the best part of that idea. And it's the idea that, they even bring in a whole line about people hate the present so much that they want to retreat into the past. Good.
Yeah.
Make more of this reboot about that. This is it. You're hitting the gold. This is the kind of shit you should be leaning in on.
Right. If there's any frustrating thing about that, it's that. If there's any frustrating thing about that scene, it's that there's such brilliance in it. Why isn't the rest of the movie is that good?
Yep. I had said earlier that I kind of wished upon finishing it that this entire movie was no connecting plot thread for everything, just snippets of the viewers universe in 15, 20-minute increments and like 7 of them in a row and have that be a movie. I want shit like that. Yeah. Because almost every gripe I have with this movie is them contriving to get something in or shoehorn something in. Don't make a situation where you don't have to shoehorn it. Just have it be, I would love to see maybe it's just Jay and Silent Bob checking up on people.
Right, some kind of like anthology thing with Jay and Silent Bob as like the host and or recurring characters.
It's something as fucking. If Kevin Smith wants to make this like personal with like his heart attack, have it be something like, excuse me, Jay has a heart attack and realizes that it's kind of like what they're kind of doing for Clerks 3. It looks like which gives me hope for it. But have it be something
I've heard it's really good. I heard it's best he's done in a long time.
I'm hopeful for it, but it's in a very similar thing to that. And my script for this movie would have been Jay has a heart attack, comes back, realizes that he doesn't have that much time left on this world, and wants to, like, is doing something like making his will, and is like, I have no idea what people think of me. Let's go around the country to all the people that we know and ask them what they thought of me or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. But they're just go for it.
Yeah, it's a shame because this is the bit that gets fucking Jay off his ass to become a better dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like the entire thing of like, there's some really great lines here. Like, my kid is just way more interesting to me. You're not Bruce Wayne anymore. You're Thomas Wayne.
You're Thomas Wayne, right?
I'm just here to set the real story in motion.
Yeah, it's like you don't get a stage 3, which is a lot of like good bits, which I really like Smith, like the way he's written it, like what the analogs comparison he makes, super smart. So Jay he also gives Jay and Silent Bob some VIP badges to make sure the kids get to the
also the line our kids are like our reboots, which is the like smart. You gave the movie you gave this movie its title, and I really wonder, because they wrote the scene in so far at the end, if they didn't have the scene, the entire movie would have fallen apart.
Right. So they sneak in
there. There's also a real quick, sorry for just the last interruption. They also make they also make a series of really funny jokes, like when he's talking to his daughter, when he's talking to Amy, where he talks about
Yeah.
the Just Us League and Our
Yeah.
Town and
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
Argo Fuck Yourself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of neat
Yeah.
little sprinklings like that.
Yeah. I'll give the Ben credit for this too. Like the way he plays off of fucking Muse's kid, it makes it really feels like it's his own. But I really appreciate
Yeah.
that. It's really cute. Anyway, so Jay and Silent Bob return to the kiddos heroes with the VIP badges, and they get into the fucking super extras only fucking panel. I guess it's panel slash shoot film. I don't know. Um, so Kevin Smith Kevin Smith emerges now, not Silent Bob. Actually, Kevin Smith emerges, tells them they're going to be filming some shit, and then that's when Harley Quinn, oh god, Harley Quinn, Millennium Falcon, Harley Quinn, the Joker's trick, realizes that Silent Bob looks like Kevin Smith, and this movie goes downhill.
Mm-hmm.
Millie sneaks backstage and knocks out Smith, and then gives Kevin Smith clothes to Silent Bob as a disguise. And then here comes easily, easily the dumbest, stupidest, worst thing about this movie. They bring Millie and Shanwu on stage to film the scene, but then Shanru realizes that Bob is actually Kevin Smith, knocks him out, and then reveals himself to be a Russian spy wearing the fucking a similar cat suit as fucking Harley Quinn, Boba Fett, The Mandalorian on Disney Plus's mom wore when she was a spy. Because now that fucking Russia has, God, this sounds like I'm fucking having a stroke, but this is all true. Russia has infiltrated our voting polls. That
Elections are
elections, they
protocols.
want to destroy pop culture collection conventions, so they're going to start with Kevin Smith.
There is a nice thing where someone says, "Who the fuck is Kevin Smith?" and they're like, "Oh, he's
Yeah.
that Jorts wearing motherfucker." And they're like, there's a whole ass discussion on what jorts are, and
Right.
if I had more time, that would have been a sound clip played at the beginning of every fucking episode of this podcast.
Right. You know what this movie did not need? A final battle scene.
It didn't.
No, and like it's like really like it's just like, oh yeah, our one Asian character, actually she's a Russian spy, and she speaks with a cartoon accent.
It's and also in the entire time that this is going on, Kevin Smith playing Kevin Smith is just kind of standing on stage making.
Hold on.
Are you going full Joker?
Hold on. That's Kevin Smith's dialogue playing Kevin Smith. Just him jerking himself off. He's like, I know all my haters say about me, and I'm gonna lean into it.
Like, when I'm watching that sequence, I'm like, oh, cool. They knocked out Kevin Smith playing Kevin Smith. So he is no longer there to be annoying. And then they brought him back, and he basically takes on the role of Jay for the rest of this fucking movie by doing dumb one-liners, like a callback to House Party 4, which that made me laugh a little bit. A line about yoga houses, a line about Marvel gonna sue somebody.
It's just but it's also just like it's just regurgitation of jokes. It's not funny.
It's it didn't need to happen.
No.
There's so many ways you could have rewritten the ending for that. And it's funny because we just got a whole speech about how your kid is you not getting a third act to your story, and it made me realize how bad Kevin Smith is on the third act to almost every story he's written.
Right, and then we get the word this it's it was like your kids take the stage, and then he tears the stage away from his literally tears the stage away from his children by becoming a character in his own fucking movie that is him. The only good thing about the next like 50 minutes of this film is Jay saying the following lines. Sometimes you have to break promises to make good decisions. Like when I told your mom I wouldn't come in her. because that is Jay on the cusp of being a good person, and then saying the crash of shit. It had me cackling.
Um, immediately followed by, I had to say that because I needed to distract him long enough to get here so I can get this gun. A guy cosplayer throws him a gun, and he goes, "Take this." Pulls the trigger, realizes it's not an actual gun.
Yeah, which. And then for fuck's sake, there's a it's not Bobber Gaines' conscience. He puts on an Iron Man costume, the Iron Bob suit that was going to be used in the scene. Oh,
Just
also
because
by the way,
they did that because he's like, fuck it, I don't want to do another, like, I don't.
yeah.
So they like completely cover him in. Like, you can't even see him. He's doing the
This
fucking, like,
yeah.
ooh,
Well,
VR shit.
okay. So right, first off, I've got to mention the rebooted Blunt Man Chronic is played by Melissa Benoist, aka Supergirl from the recently concluded CW show Supergirl, and noted ex-Batman Val Kilmer as Blunt Man, and then Tommy Chong, wasting everyone's time, Tommy Chong as Alfred,
Yeah, who I
who's in
thought
the if yeah.
I thought both him and Cheech died.
Yeah, no. So like if fucking Molly Shannon, Matt Damon, and what do we because like you can't even call fucking I guess like who would fit that fuck Joe Manganiello are the trinity of good cameos. Fucking uh Armistead, Chong, and fucking no, I almost said Jason Lee. That is kind of totally wrong. Fucking just a
I
long or the anti
yeah,
trilogy. Yeah, it's like
yeah.
oh no. The fight scene's bad because like it kind of just like, trails off. It's like there's a panel and then they beat the bad guys and we're back at the quick stop, everybody.
Oh yeah, literally, Smith pulls the Deus Ex Machina by literally calling out on stage like, "Well, everyone's got their character arcs completed and the battle is done. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo."
Yeah, it's just like it's not even like he ran out of ideas. He got tired of filming his own bullshit. Which on one hand,
It's
yeah,
certainly no Wayne's World.
yeah, I'm glad he ended it because I mean I could stop watching that scene, but like it just like it is like what it adds another 20 minutes to the movie and it is fucking awful.
Like like in the editing room, he has to have looked at it and that went like, "Damn, I'm hitting an emotional high point right here.
Yeah.
Maybe I should take that plane in for a landing." And instead, no, they shot the plane down from this guy with the bigger. And some people are like, "Oh, it's really clever because he's making a point about how reboots have bigger, flashier things where there's no substance in it." But I don't think he's that fucking
No,
clever.
no, there's absolutely no. It is not intentionally that good. Because then it's just a shitty fight scene. Because like the
Yeah.
fight, it's not a good action scene by any standard.
I kind of wish they went more crazy. I kind of
Right? Yeah.
wish, like, again, the final fight sequence works in Strikes Back because it's on a Hollywood set. It's meant to
Right.
be larger than life.
Right.
Also, like one thing I kind of mentioned earlier, the entire idea of Hollywood changing in
Right.
Kevin Smith's mind from being, a set with the director and producer and extras and like
Yeah.
all that to his idea of Hollywood now being podcast and conventions is kind of
Yeah.
funny.
It is also like the going back to fucking Strikes Back. Strike Back's fight scene works because it was a Phantom Menace parody before the internet was at peak internet.
Yeah.
Shot with Mark Hamill with some actual money, so it looked good and it was funny. Now it's just like here's shitty Iron Man fight, and it's just like oh we're like 20 years into the MCU, my guy, fucking no. Anyway, so we're back at the quick stop. Um, and one of the things kind of hammered out in the movie is that Millie just wants to meet her dad and get coffee with him and be his friend. And yeah, Jay is there, so which it's wild that like there's no just like hey Justice, I told the daughter I'm her dad, she's coming back to Jersey with me to hang out scene or like
Yeah.
any like for that because like dude's been out of her life for, we have to assume, 17, 18 years.
Yeah.
Shows up again, goes to Hollywood, has an Iron Man fight, and she's like, "Oh yeah, well you had your Iron Man fight, and you spent all your Hollywood money, flying around the country, getting beating up people who were mean to you on the internet. I should definitely let you go with him."
Also, they make such a
Uh,
big point of like, please don't tell our daughter who you
yeah,
are, and they do it, and there are zero consequences
right,
for that.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Um, so yeah,
there's
yeah.
also
So she,
while they transition to Jersey, what song plays in the background?
bleed blood from my ears because that's what had happened. That's what the previous scene had done to me.
Close enough. They play Pearl Jam's Daughter, which I don't know if Kevin Smith can read. I don't know if Kevin Smith can read a lyric sheet. But I'm going to tell you this. Like, simple Pearl Jam 101. I'm not even talking about Daughter in specific. If there's a child in a Pearl Jam song, they are not having a good time.
Maybe he
Daughter
couldn't get.
Daughter is not a song about a man having a good relationship with his daughter. You might as well that's like saying, "Oh, the Danzig song Mother is about a guy who has a great relationship with his mother."
Maybe, maybe he
Nope.
wanted the rights to Jay's Got a Gun, and Aerosmith said no.
Um Steven Tyler would have gone, "Now I like the idea you're doing here about someone teleporting a girl across state lines. But this whole family shit, not feeling it. Not feeling it."
How much money you got? No! Wow!
But yeah, Daughter is a song about family trauma, and they're using it as like the warm, like I would say the warm Maroon 5-ish style transition song most movies would use. But even that, I'm I'm bringing this in because it's the goddamn most clever joke I have made all fucking year. So it's recently been found out that fucking Adam Levine of Maroon 5 has been cheating on his pregnant wife, and immediately I look up, I'm like, has Mick Jagger ever cheated publicly on his wife? And sure enough, he cheated on his very pregnant wife as well. So the Moves Like Jagger comparison literally fucking wrote itself as the most clever joke I've made all fucking year long.
I always said Maroon 5 was the fucking New England Patriots of bands because 9/11 happened and suddenly both of them are relevant. And here we are. Anyway, so yeah,
I believe noted murder tornado Kerry Wood called him the syphilis of music, and
uh, that's hard to say because like I could think of like a lot. Billy Corgan exists. Kid Rock exists.
true. Like,
Yeah.
okay, Adam Levine is bad, but Adam Levine is not on the level of wrote a song about statutory in an Osmosis Jones soundtrack level yet. Kid Rock,
Right.
Kid
Yeah,
Rock
right.
is.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Millie shows up. They have coffee and they start telling stories about the previous all the other Kevin Smith movies Kevin Smith has hoped you see to understand this one. What I do absolutely love about this, though, this movie ends on Dante showing up, trying to open the quick stop, and bemoans the fact that the steel shutters are once again closed. We get the end credits. We get a bunch of like montages we'll get into in a few minutes, and then the final scene is Dante fucking with the locks, and Jesus like, yeah, no, we've been jamming gum in the locks for like the last 25 years.
It's great.
And just
It is a
just the
great
delivery
note.
of that is just like, again, it's the comedic equivalent of the Chasing Amy scene where Kevin Smith uses commentary to explain why this is happening, and it's 100% believable, and it's chef's
It's
kiss.
good.
Chef's kiss.
I feel like he wrote that scene before any other scene, and
Right.
decided to make a movie around that.
Yeah, or like someone asked him at a panel, and he said, "I don't know, Jane Silent Bob," and then he's like, "Oh shit, I should use that one day."
So yeah, so they get into a bunch of credit sequences, which involves. So Stan Lee was supposed to be a major part of the third act. I literally think he was supposed to be replacing director Kevin Smith. I think it was supposed to be instead of getting a part in a Kevin Smith directed film, it was going to be Stan Lee directing the Blunt Man v Chronic film. And unfortunately, Stan Lee died that year. So they showed footage that they recorded, some pre-footage that they recorded at some convention, and it's charming, it's funny. There was also a Stan Lee memorial in Brody's comic shop.
Yeah, yeah,
That was also really touching. But it's very good just to see Stan Lee laughing, and them having a great time trying to record this sequence.
yeah. It's very
Um,
sweet. I'm glad that made it in there because like it's again, but Lee was fucking oh my god, I forgot my joke. Holy shit, I fucked this up. Yeah, Lee was Smith's Bowie. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, that's that. More Chris Helmsworth hologram fun, which never tired of that.
So before that, I want to save that one for
Oh,
the very end because
okay.
we got a callback from Strikes Back to the Koosh Boys, where
Oh,
they finally get a
yeah.
chance to.
So Koosh Boy number 2, that's my old
Mhm.
coworker Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
I
was
tried.
originally supposed to be a guest
Yeah,
for Strikes
yeah.
Back.
Yeah, try to get it's not happening. He's busy. He moved to LA, so scheduling is a problem. Also, he spends most of his time getting to fights in film groups on Facebook. I know this because I see the comments.
Um, but they're like, I've been waiting my entire life to do this. $200, a
Yeah,
little man. Put that
yeah.
shit in my hands.
He was the
Uh,
non-rapping one, if it helps for anyone who's seen this movie, i.e., Nathan. Um, there's also wait, Robert Kirkman showing up. You know, the guy who created The
yeah,
Walking Dead. Yeah,
yeah, that was fun.
Carol eats. I do like. Oh yeah, Carol eats. Was it Corbin eats somebody? She becomes a walker. I didn't say she became a walker. This was a very good bit.
No, she just
Um,
eats someone.
yeah,
Uh, and then we get a little bit of Ben Affleck justification. Ben Affleck bad flex like a bomb, motherfucker.
yeah. They tried. They really tried with that one. I'm really got. Also, a lot of just like Harley Quinn Smith is shitting on her dad, which rightfully so.
Oh,
That
the
yeah,
very last line of the movie is "I'm so done with Kevin Smith," which I feel
yeah,
is so appropriate. And
yeah.
the reason why I want to save the Hemsworth one for the very end was him saying it's basically him reprising his role, which is to give directions. So he's like, if you want
Right.
to go be an extra in the sequence, go here. If you want to continue your arc about becoming the super dad that the daughter you just found out about, that the daughter you who just entered your life never knew she needed. And then I'm like, oh, hello, Love and Thunder.
um, yeah. So speaking of which, I'm looking up looking up work that Harley Quinn Smith has done that's not Kevin Smith related.
I'm assuming it's minimal, if anything.
Oh, it is. Next to
Mm,
nothing.
yep,
Um, if this is true, she supposedly shows up in Clerks 3, which would make
makes
sense.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But we got Kilroy was here, i.e., comes with NFT movie. Masters of the Universe Revelations, which makes sense. Whatever the fuck Cruel Summer is.
Never heard of that.
It is a TV series. I don't know what the fuck it's on. And apparently it's getting a second season. Freeform. Okay. So, ABC Family, where the fuck it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so good on her. That seems like being a non-Kevin Smith thing. Aside from that, Comic Book Men, Supergirl, which I'm sure Smith directed.
He sure did.
Yeah, Clerks 2, Tusk, where the Yoga Housers, obviously. Oh, she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? That makes sense. Tarantino.
Tarantino Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's a shame because like I think she can act. I just
Yeah, she like this movie made me want to see more of her stuff that she's in that hopefully it's
isn't
not
written
directed
by
by
her father.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think she's definitely got the chops for it. Like,
Yeah.
born into a family with a fucking actor director and an actress mother. Like,
Right.
um, So I'm gonna talk a little bit about my feelings for the movie overall. I wrote a lot of shit down, some of which I already covered, so I'm just gonna kind of like talk for about 10 minutes on this shit,
Okay.
and we can go into more detail on this. So it's definitely less than the sum of its parts, but ultimately I kind of I enjoyed it more. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. I finished it, kind of felt bad about it, and then like ruminated it on it while like after I slept. And when I woke up, I'm like, I think there are more pluses in this movie than negatives. There are a lot of negatives. So I'm gonna pull the curtain behind a little bit here. One of the things me and Christy talked about doing was because some things are offered on Twitch Watch Party. We contemplated doing a watch party of this, mostly because times Christy managed to get this movie watched and done like amidst a whole lot of shit.
Yeah.
So we contemplated doing a live viewing instead, and I'm like, it's not a bad movie, but I think it's a much better movie to watch and talk about because 90% of the movie is mid as fuck, and
Yeah, it's like very forgettable.
it's a movie
Tom
that
was a
works
little hot. Yeah,
better. It works better conceptually than it does actually watching it.
it's ironic because I earlier today before the stream, when I was having dinner, Amanda and I watched an episode of the show called Reboot on Hulu. It is not the cartoon. It is a new Hulu original series starring Johnny Knoxville and Keegan Michael Key as a cast of a old '90s sitcom brought back Hulu by Hulu. Their promise is going to be a smart and dark take on the show, and then stuff happens. That's all I'll say because there's a pretty good spoilers in there. And that show kind of covers the same ground, but is a lot more interesting and funnier in 22 minutes than this was in 100 and whatever minutes.
Yep. This is also like a fucking 2 hour long movie too. This is
Yeah,
one of the longer ones we've had to watch
it's
for this.
way too long for its own good. It's I know Smith wrote this for his fucking his core fan base. Tom and I are Tom and I have been Tom and I have grown up and acquired sense of taste, so it's not us as much these days. Um,
He
which
writes
I
movies for himself,
right.
and I'm actually a big proponent of that. I don't, to me, if you're making a game, I want a person to make a game that they'd want to play. I think a person making a show should make the kind of show they want to watch, because ultimately it's going to help you make a better quality thing. But I think, again, very appropriate to Jersey Girl. Jersey Girl was a movie for him,
Right.
and I'm glad he liked it, but it didn't work for a whole lot of other people. This movie conceptually works for a whole lot of people, but in terms of the finished product, this is something really for him. And you know what?
Right.
Cool. I'm glad I'm glad I didn't pay for it. I'm
Right.
glad I got it. If I had paid for this movie the same way I did for almost every other one that we watched, I would have been a lot more upset.
Yeah, it being no, we put that. So we're trying to think. Clerks was free. Well, not free, but it was on Home Box Office Maximum. Not a sponsor, could be.
I've
Uh,
paid for Clerks
yeah,
multiple times in my life,
okay.
though.
Yeah, but that would be
So
good. And then yeah, fucking was it? Yeah. Either way, like I didn't have to go my way to watch it. It was. I'm not mad. I'm not mad like I did watch it like at seeing Clerks 2. No one threatened to break up to me. With me after seeing Clerks 2. Um, it's just not. It's in a year where I've seen a lot of very good movies like Prey, Jackass Forever, and oh geez, what else did I see? I saw something else. Oh, and Nope. Watching this was like, oh, these are none of these.
yeah, it is mid as fuck. It is a
Yeah.
mid way to spend 2 hours of your life, and I think talking about it and like doing this podcast and watching this movie with the podcast in mind made me have a better opinion about this movie. Because otherwise, I will go back and I will rewatch Clerks. I will go back and I will rewatch Chasing Amy. I will rewatch Mallrats if I'm high and have snacks. I will not go back and watch this movie again. There's
No.
nothing more I can gain upon a second viewing of it. I feel like I have extracted all of the juice from the orange. Uh, there's nothing else I can get from this. I really hope Clerks 3 goes in the direction that some of the better scenes in this movie took it. I really, really, really want that. I think if it does that, cause like, here's the thing. I'm glad I went into this blind. And kind of, it feels like a very swan songy chapter closing of my life between this and whenever the fuck we get a chance to watch Clerks 3. Because I'm hoping they raise that shit to home box office of some kind, because they released it in theaters and it's gonna be gone. It's gonna be gone in like a week. So
Sunday, it's out on Sunday. Which we like. I just got back from California and still fighting some elements for my bout sickness. Plus, I have a million things to do this week and slash month, so that sucked. It's just like it was bad timing on their end. But like apparently you can already pre-order it on iTunes, so I imagine it's going to be available digitally hopefully next month, and then we can watch it then. I am kind of excited for Clerks 3. I've heard very like mid warmth to like good things about it, which that's a step up from what we've heard for everything post Dogma.
We've said so many bad things about this movie, and it's by far and large one of his better post Strikes Back movies.
It's watchable. It's watchable. There are some solid jokes, but it's also like it's the same thing as like watching Endgame, or Infinity War. If you have not seen every one of his fucking movies prior to this point, this movie makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Other than stoner guy makes silly noises, has daughter.
The way I really feel about this movie is, and this is gonna be a comparison that's only gonna make sense to me. When I saw South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut in theaters, that is a unmistakable movie. That is a like, we made a fucking movie. And I've heard people say that like the Imagination Land trilogy is the second South Park movie, and you know that feeling of like a made for TV movie versus like an actual like for the silver screen movie, or for like an actual screen movie. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot feels like a made for TV movie. I don't think it could have gained shit by being on the big screen. And to put it in the same wheelhouse as Strikes Back does both movies a disservice. And again, I could get into the fucking details about how to frame a shot, how to light, how to set up your pacing, all of that is made for the smaller screen, and none of it would, like, I would have hated this movie had I seen it on the big screen, to the point where, like, again, this might have actually worked better as a 4-episode miniseries rather than a full movie.
Right. I think the problem is, the sad thing is, like, it was easier for him to get this made as like a 2-hour-ish like film, like, film fest film, than it was for theaters. So, and it shows, it feels like that. If it shows, it was just like like I was looking at the fucking IMDb rating versus the Amazon rating. It has like a fucking 4.6 out of 5 on Amazon, because it's Kevin Smith fans screaming how good this is, versus actual critics being like, this is Kevin Smith jerk off to his lore thing.
This is a movie that was made for streaming. That was made to be watched, much like how Mallrats did a whole lot better when it got put on VHS. This is a kind of movie, I can even see the episode ending like lines. They should have made this 3 to 4 45-minute long specials, and I think it would have done phenomenally better. Just because of how it's shot and paced. I think Jay having a kid is a fucking good point. That's a great plot point. That is a solid base for it. We both we had like a pre-stream, like just a couple of touch points, and that's one we both agreed on. I think the weakest thing I can say about this movie is that Silent Bob really brings almost nothing to the table especially once Millie gets introduced. Like,
Right.
honestly, like, because it becomes a Jay and Silent Bob movie to a Jay and Millie movie, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It can work in concept. But just a couple of things would have had to really changed about that. Like, for example, the whole keeping it a secret vibe about him being. I think it could have been a lot better if they had kind of made Jay and Millie the focus of it. Have her know right away that he's her dad, and have it be a I want to go on a trip with you and learn shit about you. I think
Right.
that could have been a lot more of a fun adventure rather than this.
Yeah, it's I can't because like you said, yeah, Jerry as a dad is a funny fucking plot point. They could have done a lot with it, and I think Kevin Smith was too much like was too dedicated to doing cameos and revisiting old bits to make something new, and it sucks.
The film also like oddly fetishizes fatherhood almost.
Oh, it totally
Um,
does. Like the fact that like we're a bunch of girls who don't we bonded because we're a bunch of sad girls who don't have dads is also inherently shitty. Not every dad is good.
yeah. Also, Kevin Smith is a man who had a good relationship with his father and
Right.
was a great dad to his daughter.
Right.
So it definitely feels like you're writing out of your wheelhouse. Like, I don't know. Like I said,
Yeah.
it feels like he
Yeah.
never met an orphan or had someone with a fucked up relationship with their dad. That like, you know, having your father in your life isn't necessarily going to solve your issue. Sometimes it's better if you have a shitty dad, and by all means, Jay is a shitty dad. He does his best, and he's like Justice says it best. He's well-meaning and fun, but he's definitely not a good dad. By the end of
No.
this film, he's still not really a good dad,
No.
but he is worldly, and that's
Right.
like the whole like I kind of wrote this here like Jay, with the exception of like fighting the clan, which feels otherworldly. That's not like
Right.
that's movie shit.
Right.
Um, Jay doesn't really do shit to like
No.
warrant the drastic change in attitude she gives to him from
Right. He
like
tries to be like, hey, don't do drugs, don't curse, whatever, and it all feels forced. Then he's like, here, I got you these VIP passes to your friend's thing, and by the way, your friend's a secret terrorist is a fucking weird path that doesn't like it. I know you have to spend some belief for these movies, but like, it's a
well, like because here's the thing: the entire sequence with Holden kind of goes against everything the movie's been telling us about Jay and his relationship with his daughter. Where they're saying that as a father, your kid is your reboot. You're supposed to be imprinting your good qualities onto them, and they're
right.
taking your best qualities and amplifying them. Millie is way more capable than Jay ever was, and it's not because his best qualities are in her. Arguably, Jay's the biggest hindrance in her life. All of his worst qualities are in her, and she's like fighting to kind of overcome that. So like I'm gonna say like when they got caught by the clan, I was shocked because like I'm like everything they've taught us about her shows that she should have seen that coming a mile away, and would have been able to sneak up on them and
Right.
sleeper
Like
hold
these.
or take them out with the
Right. Like
fucking hockey stick.
right. There's so much. Yeah. Like fucking. There's that. Like Jay and Silent Bob historically have done like really weird shit. Season 5 stuff, and like that was just like, oh, they're gonna sneak in there, give a speech, and then drop poop on them. It's like, oh, you definitely lost your budget, buddy.
Yeah. Um. It's a lot of I mentioned before a lot of um telling without showing. They tell us a
Yeah.
whole lot about how Millie is smart and like you know tons
Right.
of tons of medals, but they don't really show her doing anything Like,
Right, minus like the cartoon bullshit, you know?
yeah, it everything that she's achieved in life has nothing to do with Jay. Her learning about her father, and getting to there's really nothing to gain there. Jay is a force of nature, but he's not. He can't really be good moral or bad moral because he's a fucking cartoon character.
Yeah.
And we love him for that, but he's as bad of a dad at the end of this movie as he is. You said it yourself. Why would Justice fucking let him take her
Right.
to Jersey? She was right to want him to stay out of her life.
Yep.
And sometimes it's okay to know who your parents are and know where you came from, but how much good can it really give you to like meet a person who has done nothing to shape your life?
Right.
I mean, what could he give you to better you? So
Yeah,
really,
it feels very heteronormative, especially
yeah,
like it's also shitty because you think about that, like she's married, like Justice married somebody, and she's had two mother figures in her life. Like, is that implying that like she's messed up?
yeah.
And
It's
also, okay, also hold on, something just dawned on me. So she's 18, right?
yeah,
So they bet she was conceived prior to Justice going to jail because she was then she had her when she was in prison, and then she somehow got out and had access to it. Yeah, like how does that even work?
yeah. There's a whole lot of like
Like
the more you think about it, the
that
less
just
it makes
fucking out
sense.
of thought. I was like, hey, wait a minute, like fucking, because like she should be like at least like had she like Justice shouldn't see the kid till she was at least 10.
Yeah.
I
It
think,
it
yeah.
the
The
more I
more you
think
think
about
about it,
it,
yeah,
the less sense it makes.
yeah.
Um, and
Especially
even
when she
then,
knows who the dad is, and like it's not like, oh, his name's Jay, lives in Jersey. If they know enough about him to put him on a flight, banned flight list, they could track him down easy.
yeah, because otherwise, who the fuck is the kid going to live with?
Right? Yeah.
Um, but even putting all that aside, which yeah, for a film, it would be something I could overlook if the film didn't go out of its way to give closure to other like equally valid points. You want
Yeah.
to make a universe, this is the kind of shit you got to think of, and you need an answer more clever than nothing. But even of all that, there's a version of this movie I can see in my mind that his Jay's fatherhood of her in the movie is shown as being nothing but a hindrance to the story. Like, oh, I can't tell her who I am, so we can't bond. But it's never played as one. And that could have been
Right.
funny. There's potential in have them do a fucking cheesy scene where they both realize they both hate the same kind of they both hate olives in their fucking sandwich.
Yeah.
Something
Right.
stupid like that.
Right.
Like there has to be something that shows, hey, maybe there's a bond here. Hey, maybe there's you know, Jay trying to be a fucking cop dad is funny conceptually, but they don't give it enough time to really let it sink in. There's a sequence that I think would be really funny here of him telling her, don't smoke pot, it's gonna fuck with your mind, and then immediately lights the joint up.
Yeah. Right.
That could have
Exactly.
been really goddamn funny.
Right.
And
They were
there's none of that.
Yeah, Smith's too busy committed to the whole we're gonna do this zany like road trip thing so we could do an action scene versus like he can't commit to one thing
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, and
And
that's the
again,
problem.
that's something that could have been corrected real fucking easy, filled up a lot of plot holes by instead of having to go out all the way to California, make it a
Right.
convention in Ohio. I've driven
Right.
to Ohio. It's a bad drive, but it ain't that fucking bad.
Or like I
And
don't know, don't
it
rehash
could
shit. Like
it could that could have been enough to like cut out a whole lot of dumb plot hole shit. Make it
right.
there's no reason for that in California. There's nothing in Hollywood that makes it feel like Hollywood. Make it a fucking convention in, you know, Pennsylvania, New York, something like anywhere
Right.
else. And you know, you don't, if you're committed enough to this to make it all have to take place in Chicago, which I didn't even fucking realize that they ran into Justice and all them in Chicago. Like, you could change the plot of that. Like, I um, but like, so that's a whole lot about why the movie didn't work for me. Going back to why it did work for me. For better or worse, it's Kevin Smith's midlife crisis put up on screen. He makes movies based on what he knows to a fault, and I wish he leaned more into that. Again, the scene with Holden encapsulates everything great about this movie and what it had the potential to be. This was, you know, I really like the idea that he wants to do a movie. Fuck the critics. Fuck what everyone else wants. I want to do a movie with my friend because the last movie we did together was shitty. I can respect that. Even if I don't like the end product, I can respect that. You want to... I feel better about a movie knowing that the people on set had fun making it than I do if the movie ends up not being my cup of tea, because maybe it's someone else's. I'm okay with that. That's the heart of the film.
Yeah.
It's
just like
it's the raison d'etre for this movie's existence.
it's
And I hope they bring it for Clerks 3. I want more
Yeah.
of that.
yeah.
Because, like, again, I said it earlier, I'm going to say this again. Clerks 2 came out way too soon.
Yeah.
The entire speech Randall gives at the end about being left behind, his midlife crisis, people are evolving, moving on without him. It's a great speech, but that's made for someone too young. That is the speech of a man in his 50s, not, you know, early 40s.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's again, I think ultimately this movie is it's a fun idea that Kevin Smith is like, oh, we're gonna make a bunch of fun reboot jokes, but also Jay will have a daughter, so next gen, and then he also got bored of that, but he's also we gotta do this, but also we gotta do this, and it's like it's just like, do you think Jay and Silent Bob are strong enough characters that you could do a movie without them? But also, yeah, it's just like I get it because like again, he says himself, he had a heart attack the previous year. If you want to do a movie, get all his friends in on it, which you know, that's fine. It's a fine compromise. But if I'm gonna talk about this movie as a movie itself, it's just all over the place. You know, there's some good bits in it. There's some cute bits in there. Like it's cool that he went back and like touched on Chasing Amy and Dogma stuff. But there's also a lot of stuff where it's like, man, again, like you said, this would work as a fun little like Kevin Smith anthology thing, a YouTube series or something, where just Kevin Smith's friends show up and just like tell you what their characters are like.
It doesn't fit into the 3-act structure that Smith
Right.
literally calls fucking out
Yeah.
in theaters, because it's not, we don't meet Millie, who, hey, guess what? Millie's the fucking protagonist of this movie.
Right.
And we don't meet her till the second act. You can't do that.
Right.
Act 1 is a completely different movie than Act 2, which is a completely different movie from Act 3. There's no harmony in it whatsoever. The second, like, the reason why Kevin Smith's films work is because of the two men in the room situation. And I'm going to say that, but, you know, gender at that point is irrelevant. And he's done a good job of actually making the struggle of that be the crux of the movie. The reason why Clerks worked is because of Dante and Randall, because they're able to play off each other in almost every sequence. TJ and Brody TS and Brody is the reason why Mallrats worked as well as it did. Those two were able to play off each other really well. The
Brody,
central
really.
Brody more than TS.
Yeah.
The entire point of Chasing Amy is that it starts off Banky and Holden are the two guys in the room, And then Holden realizes that he has a better, basically that he has a better connection with Alyssa than he does with his friend. And through coming to terms with your own sexuality and jealousy, the main conflict of that movie, without being outright stated, is Banky not knowing where he fits in this dynamic. He can't be in a 3-person friendship.
Yeah. Right.
It's 3, 2 will kill 3. So in this movie, the big problem is that for the first act, it's Jay and Silent Bob. And the entire reason why Strikes Back worked as well as it did was because Jay and Silent Bob played off each other for the entire film. Bob doesn't say shit for most of the movie, but he plays off of Jay flawlessly. And the problem is, Act 1 is Jay and Bob, and Act 2 is Jay and Millie. And again, not a bad dynamic, but Bob does fucking nothing for almost the rest of the movie. It almost would have made more sense to remove Bob and have it be, give the second act to Jay and Millie. Like, let their friendship be the staple, be the foundation for your second and third act. But it doesn't, and the film doesn't know enough about, like, it's weird, because he's a fucking filmmaker. He knows this shit. He should know this shit. He should know how to construct a scene. He's done this before. It almost feels like he unlearned it. There are no sequences that absolutely need to be in that movie that are there. So as a result, you have these close-up, constricting, like, when you watch this film at all, did you ever get that, like, feeling of, like, what's the, oh my god, I'm having, what's that feeling when you, like, you're constricted and confined?
Claustrophobia?
Yeah. Claudia, didn't a lot of these scenes feel like almost claustrophobic because it's just like
that variety ad. It's just like Kevin Smith has never met a bad like shooting angle he's never met. You ever met? It's like, I'm so used to badly shot Kevin Smith movies by now, with the exception of fucking Jersey Girl, which is like, Jersey Girl looks better than all his movies, even though it is fucking awful.
Yep. But I'm gonna take a couple examples from Clerks, the Salsa Shark. Like, how much of that scene is empty space?
Which I'm willing to, like, let that slide, because, like, it's his first movie.
No, it's purposely done.
Yeah.
That is the point. Is that there are clear sequences in Clerks where the closer up shots in Claustrophobia is meant to be played because it's a confining job. But there are also the periods of boredom and dialogue where if you even just, like, take a frame and mark how much space a person is taking in a room, the distance between two characters in a frame means something. And in this, almost every shot is shot from a 3/5 perspective. So a person is either almost looking the camera head on or just, like, taking up 70-80% of the shot. Things move way too fast. And there's no time to let jokes breathe, which work for some one-liners and are terrible for others. And as a result, you have a movie that, in the language of cinema, paced horribly, shot very claustrophobic, doesn't let any of its characters breathe, doesn't let any of its characters really grow, and is told without being shown. This could have been a much better movie, I think, if he gave himself another 8 months to rethink his shots, refilm some parts, and tighten up the script. If I were doing this movie today with the script that they came up with, I would make the amount of time that it takes for you to get to Millie be no more than 20 minutes.
I wonder if there's a version of this film that could have been like, kickstarted or an Indiegogo'd, and that would have improved it massively.
I think so. I think even
Yeah,
taking a year break. I think Clerks 3 is going to be better because it obviously, because of the pandemic, he had to
yeah,
really take his time and do multiple drafts, and this film has been in production since fucking
yeah,
2006. 3 is going to be better because he took his time with it. This movie felt rushed. And again, even a simple thing, if they had done something like make Millie's introduction, in the hero's journey, make Millie's introduction almost immediately after the showing of the normal world. The second they from the moment they learned about the movie and the climax and conflict is introduced, they should have met Millie within 5 minutes of leaving Brody shop.
yeah,
And because they didn't, you're getting a second conflict coming out of nowhere. Everything with the hater tots, everything with the flying, even though I love that sequence and Molly Shannon was great.
yeah.
Make it a 1 second
Right,
line of, damn, what the hell is a no wait list, no fly list? Your ass is skinny enough to get on a plane now.
right,
Make that just to make that the takeaway joke. Have the, you know, have the Uber. Oh, I can only take it as far as here, and kick them out for whatever reason. Maybe they make another crude joke, or they smoke weed and kick them out because of that. You're now at Justice and Millie 15-20 minutes into the movie, and now you can make at least half of Act 1 be Jay learns he has a daughter and decides he has to also now become a father. That lays all of Act 2 as a Jay and Millie centered story of how can Jay be a dad at all, let alone a good one. And then Act 3 be what brings everything together.
yeah.
Instead, you have Act 3 coming out of fucking nowhere. Act 2 is 80% something else and 20% solid shit. And Act 1 is just road trip reboot.
Yeah,
This
it's
could have been a
switched.
good movie.
Yeah, it could have actually earned the fucking 4.5 it has on Amazon. Out of
Yeah.
5, by the way. I can't stress that enough.
Do I
But
recommend people watch this movie? Yeah.
oof.
Um
I only recommend it if you're super into like the
yeah.
view to skewed lord. Otherwise, there is nothing for you. It is the worst size of fan service.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely don't make it your first one in. How does it hold up? Honestly, could have used a little less gay. The gay jokes don't hit as well as they
Right,
did.
right.
Uh
They're forgivable back then. Now, it's just like
you know better.
right. It's
And
just
even
like
then,
yeah,
like again, what they could have done, a very easy fix to this is they could have made one gay joke and then have someone go, like how our
right,
fucking criticism of it go, God, that's so fucking 2005 or 2001. Like
right,
we don't do that shit anymore. Something like that. Something like
right. Yeah, an acknowledgement that like that shit doesn't fly.
yeah. Instead, it's
Yeah,
kind of the same thing that he did in Cartoon Movie, where he's like, "Whoa, ho, ho, ho! That's Jay the character talking ignorant. That's not me, Kevin Smith. I love the pussy.
right.
I'm an advocate for lesbians. Ha ha ha." You could have just you didn't you're almost better than it. You're not quite better than it
Right.
yet, but you're almost better than that.
It sucks and I hate it.
Yeah. Again, more positive things I had to say about this movie than I honestly thought I would have, considering how I felt while watching 90% of it. Like literally when we decided to do this for this week, Christy messaged me and went, "This movie is 2 fucking hours long. Kevin Smith hates this."
Yep, that was like last. No, that was Sunday night in chat because I was like, oh,
Right.
because originally I was gonna watch it on my iPad. Just download it on my iPad and watch on the flight back from Chicago. But one, the Wi-Fi in the motel sucked, and that app's not great. And 2 hours is a lot. At least I was working when I watched it today.
Yeah,
So
that's
roundabout way
why
of
I'm
getting
like
paid.
you don't have to actively watch this as closely as you would like any of the other films. You can background watch this and just take your notes.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't. I watched it. I watched it intensely and took notes throughout the entire fucking thing. So I'm like, don't worry, I'll lead discussion tonight.
Yeah. I definitely. Yeah, it's like yeah, it's just like you know what I have the Wikipedia summary because again, it's a nothing burger. Like Kevin Smith, tries like all these like. It's also like he keeps on saying this is the last one, and this is what the third last one now
Yeah.
because it
Uh,
was
Honestly, Clerks 3 has to be the last one. He
it's
can't
it,
do
well, I
any
mean
more after this.
he can't unless they like revive Clerks the animated series.
Yeah.
But on the bright side, other movies are coming out.
Yeah.
uh,
Um
don't worry, this darling is opening soon. Don't worry, my darling is opening soon. I heard it's gonna be a fucking it's gonna be a fucking tire fire. I'm so excited.
I've enjoyed all the memes that have come out of it so far.
Yeah. And then that new Hellraiser looks pretty okay.
I am excited. I'm actually pretty hyped. The trailer, yeah, I initially didn't know how I felt about it, and every trailer that I've seen has looked pretty fucking good. I'll tell you what
I need to,
I'll tell you what
what's
I'm
that? Go
excited
first.
for.
What's that?
VHS 99.
Oh, I have to get into those movies. They're all on Shutter, right?
I know 94 is. So here's my like take on it because they are
Hold on.
oh frame
Hello?
rate dropped, frame rate's
Okay.
coming back. Frame
It's
rate
not
is
just.
back.
All right, cool.
Yeah, no,
Just
that
making-
was
all right.
that was on my end.
Okay. So you're
Sorry
saying
about that, everyone. Uh, so there's VHS one, VHS two, VHS viral, VHS
right?
94, and now VHS 99.
Right.
One is all right. There's like they're all anthology films that center around found footage horror, which is my fucking shtick. I love found footage horror.
Right.
Um, there's like one or two really good ones in VHS one. There's also a couple of ones that involve SA that aren't all that great. It's a mixed bag. Most of the ones in two are really fucking solid. In particular, there's one done by the cinematographer for The Raid Redemption, which is fucking phenomenal.
Ooh, that's a good get.
Uh, Viral is schlock. I still liked it, but it's definitely the schlockiest of them all. 94, real fucking solid. I like almost every one on that list. Hail Ratma. I think you can go into 94 without watching the other ones. And 99 I'm really excited for. So I would say if you're gonna start, VHS 2 and VHS 94
Okay,
are the must watch of that franchise.
and those are on what?
94 is on Shutter. Let me see where two is currently. Pluto TV.
Oof.
Oh, it's on Prime.
Okay. Cool.
It's on Prime. Subscribe and watch. Oh no, it's on Shutter because I remember now
Okay.
Shutter is on.
Oh, Amazon through like the prescription type thing.
Yeah, actually, let me check something
Okay.
real quick. Let me pull up. Shutter is, by the way, the best like,
Yeah.
especially as we come in the spooky season. Uh,
Yeah.
Shutter is the best money I spend every year, every month on, good stuff to watch.
Speaking of like upcoming or actually now out horror movies, I heard Barbarian is very good and the twist there is
I
fucking wild.
I have heard from everyone I know who I trust with horror films. They're like, don't
Yeah.
look up anything about it, just see it. I plan on
Yeah.
going to the Alamo.
Yeah, if I don't get a chance to see it soon, I'm just gonna like wait till it's available. I imagine it's gonna be
Yeah.
digital soon because like, but I've heard that's wild. Have you seen the trailer for Smile?
Yes, I have. I'm hoping that it ends up being good. There have been a couple of PG mid horror movies that have come out that are
Like
similar to Smile, like
that head drop bit gets me every time.
Yeah.
But like aside from that, I'm not sure I'm entirely sold on that. What did what came and went? That fucking weird vampire one?
Oh God.
You know what I'm talking about, right? The one where it's like girl was invited to go to like a British wedding and then they're all
Yeah.
vampires or some shit. That like I remember that getting a lot of like fucking trailer play and then like no, I heard nothing about it after it came
Fucking
out.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I gotta like curate a list of like horror, like spooky movies to watch. You know what? I think come next week, I'm gonna drop on in the Discord like 10 unique
The
horror movies to watch, because
the
watch stuff like
the bear pig man boo boo scary talk
I
the bear
love
pig
I
man
fucking
BPM boo boo huck scary list tour.
I love me horror movies. And I like, if I gotta give people like 5 recommendations to like watch today, Fear Street trilogy on
Yeah.
Netflix still fucking holds up, still fucking solid. VHS
Rules.
94, Mad God on also on Shudder. Mad
Okay.
God is so fucking good. Done
What is
by
that?
stop motion legend Phil Tippett.
Oh, yes. Now you're talking about. Okay.
Unbelievable. Watch it in multiple bursts, but goddamn, um, that is that is a solid as fuck. Jennifer's Body,
Yeah.
real solid one.
Jennifer Body real good.
And Midsommar.
Midsommar fucking so good. Yeah, my Chris's crazy scary picks for the year so far. I'm also gonna co-nominate Fierce Trilogy, which fucking ruled. Bodies should be on digital soon. That's more comedy and suspense than horror, but god,
That's fun.
it's the reveal of how it all happens is very very good. That's all I'll say. Um, Prey is more suspense than horror, but goddamn, does Prey slap?
Oh yeah,
And
definitely
if you
like
want,
rewatch
yeah,
Alien as well.
yeah,
It's
Alien, no, nope, is
oh,
the
Nope
real
is
fucking
so
good.
solid.
Nope, so fucking good. Yeah, what you know what? This is gonna be a slight spoiler, but I don't care. You had time. When you look at Nope more as homage to fucking Spielberg than as an actual horror movie, that movie becomes way more enjoyable.
I've been predicting for a while now, when
Yeah,
Nope comes out on digital release, a lot of people who
yeah,
talk shit about it, who are like,
yeah.
oh, it's not as good as Get Out. Oh, it's not as good as Us. I think people are going to watch that and be much more appreciative of it when they can, like, stop and think about it, because I fucking loved Nope. And
I think,
feel like a lot of people didn't like it, or
yeah,
like it was more mid than expected. And I'm like, no, it's real good. I think people are just missing it. And not in
yeah,
a,
I
oh,
think
you just don't get
yeah,
it, man. It's no, it's good.
yeah. I think it's a lot of people. Like we're expecting one thing and just didn't get it,
Yeah.
or yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was trying to think of else, but yeah, like you know, all the horror stuff that yeah, I'm trying to think of, God, sorry,
Honestly,
someone was
honestly, a lot of stuff that I've been watching horror related isn't even like horror movies. I have been watching a whole ton of like analog horror and digital horror and analyses thereof. And like, I just recently got a sound bar. I have a sound bar both for the computer and a sound bar for my like TV setup right there. And what that means is that if I want to change the volume, I can't do it on my Roku remote. I have to do it on this one, and that's usually far away from where I am. If you want to scare the living shit out of yourself, listen to some analog horror like The Walton Files or The Mandela Catalog with the fucking soundbar up. You will hear the small undertones of static or the sound of just dead silence, and it will scare the shit out of you. I'm really good with horror and jump scares, and even I a couple of times had to like pause for a second to like recollect myself. Not because I'm anticipating a jump scare, but because the static and ambiance is just getting to me. And that's the kind of
yeah,
tense environment I fucking like and I look for in horror. If you're not going to do that kind of horror, be campy as fucking loud as fuck.
Oh yeah. Also, I just remembered all the Evil Dead movies are on fucking HBO Max, and I fucking love me some Sam Raimi. Also,
Oh
hey,
hell yeah.
that new Doctor Strange movie is just Evil Dead 4.5.
That the entire third act of that movie is a fucking Evil Dead movie, and it's great. It's great. It's an Evil Dead superhero movie, and I fucking love it.
Which with Bruce Campbell, cannot stress that out.
Oh, as
Bruce.
fucking Pizza Papa.
You want to put a nail on this one?
I think we've
Yeah.
given them good movie recommendations.
Yes.
While also I think we've extracted every ounce of fucking juice that we can. So
Yeah. This was.
we will
Yeah.
be back tomorrow. We have no idea what the fuck Trevor is planning. But
Yeah.
I'm also aware of what tomorrow is, so I'm sure it will be fun.
Oh shit. Yeah. Hey, what up, Jay? Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
what's good, Jay?
Trevor's back for the 21st of September stream. We have no idea what he has planned, so we just know,
I don't
we
even
can't say
think he knows what he's got planned yet, but
that's
you know
that's
what?
Also,
Trevor's one of the few people who like literally up till like we go live, I trust him. I know whatever he's gonna do, he's gonna do it well. So
yeah.
and then we got more Stray Field on Thursday, which I am
Thursday.
really loving how our Stray playthrough has been coming along.
I'm excited to watch that because I was flying last weekend. And then, hey, if you want to hear about that trip and what the fuck we've been up to this month, tune in Sunday at 7:30 p.m. EST because it's gonna be me, it's gonna be BPM, it's gonna be Chef, it's gonna be some kid, and it's gonna be Trevor's other alias, not just some rando. And Ray's back. We're gonna do our first last call, final closing bell, what the fuck we call those things. Sunday at 7:30. We catch up with the month, talk about some bullshit concerts.
We are also going to, in addition to talking about some concert spooky times and whatnot, we are also going to be giving our first peek. And by peek, I mean we're just going to go out right and fucking say it because we're coming up on it real fast. We will be talking about Extra Life 2022.
Oh, we are. Thank you for reminding me because I forgot we agreed to that.
We should probably at some point announce, and I'm like, this should be probably a perfect time to do that.
Yeah, I may have suggested and agreed to that, and may have promptly forgot it. Again, it has
no,
been
we didn't. It's something. It's a executive decision that I'm making now because
okay, cool. Okay.
I was about to say something to the effect that we should tell them at some point early October, but if we're doing that on Sunday, we might as well just like make it official. Yeah. We've been talking to a couple. We've been doing some behind the scenes work on Extra Life this year, and let me just say, like, all I'm gonna say about so far is we are hype as shit about it.
There's definitely one point where Trevor and I are gonna be cursing at each other. As it's been a while.
Oh yeah,
but it's not Resident Evil 5. I'm fairly certain RE5 will be coming back anytime soon on this channel.
It's gonna be fun.
I'm excited.
So be hyped for that. For now, though, we will see you all tomorrow. We're gonna go throw a raid over to our buddy I Am Brandon, who is playing Night at the Gates. And,
I don't know what that is. It sounds.
I have no idea, but I love me some Brandon. So
I hope there's not any ghost in it.
Ghost. Listen, Chris, we've dealt with scarier shit on tonight's podcast than anyone can do for any spooky, scary games. So I want to thank everyone for coming tonight and listening to us do the penultimate episode of our podcast. It has been a lot of fun, and I really cannot wait for us to transition over to some non-Kevin Smith related bullshit.
Yes.
But for now, be good to one another. Fuck the police. Cops aren't your friend. Don't be fucking mid. Jericho, find where your goddamn wife is, and we will catch you all later. Peace.